Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. Chapter 1, Struggling Survivors, Upgrade System. Scorching sun, sheer cliffs, redstone scorched earth. A lizard swiftly scuttled through the cracks of the rubble, pausing only for a moment to catch its breath before being snatched by a rough hand. A man with a dark complexion and deep wrinkles on his face tore the lizard's head apart with his black teeth, sucking the warm blood and viscera. The lizard's dropped tail was picked up by a companion, hurriedly stuffed into his mouth, chewed with skin and bones. After temporarily quelling his hunger, the man looked at the gasping person on the cart's roof, showing longing. Injured, Lin Feng lay on the cart, peering through the gap in the burlap curtain, meeting the man's greedy gaze, and raised the only weapon in his hand, glaring back fiercely. Retracting his gaze, he looked at the object in his hand. Item name, a rusty 05 revolver, white quality, ordinary level 0 revolver. Description, a weathered, salt-streaked revolver whose metal has gone pitted with age. Once a reliable sidearm, it now fires with sluggish reports and uneven accuracy. Nicknamed the gun of kindness by locals for its laughably low stopping power. Useful for scare tactics and last-ditch self-defense, not for serious combat. Basic attributes, level 0, damage 1, effective range 10 meters, remaining bullets 3 out of 6. Upgrade method, can consume 1 point of life value to upgrade to level 1. Upgrade carries a chance to gain extra attributes. Usage notes, low lethality, intended for intimidation and short-range self-defense, unreliable, misfires and reduced muzzle velocity possible after extended use. Life value upgrade is risky. Weigh permanence against potential attribute gains. Evaluation, this revolver is charming in its own battered way, more a relic than a weapon. Expect modest utility and plenty of character, do not rely on it in high-stakes engagements. Consuming 1 point of his own life value would be enough for an upgrade. But Lin Feng glanced again at his own attribute panel. Character status, Lin Feng, level 1, attributes, life value, 6, extremely weak, physique, 6, spirit, 8. Note, each level 1 attribute has an upper limit of 10, warning, weak state. Forced upgrades may worsen condition, with a high probability of losing consciousness, severe calf injury. Urgently requires nutritional replenishment and medical care. When he was dug out by this group of deserters from underground, his right calf was grazed by a piece of rubble, and the wound began to fester and become infected a day later. Now only 60% of life value remains. To reduce another 10% for an upgrade poses too high a risk, easily leading to unconsciousness again. But among this group of gaunt and sinister deserters, several gazes had already been cast at the top of the cart. Lin Feng could clearly feel their growing desire for fresh meat. The upgrade panel for the item before him was his only reliance. But the 05 revolver was too weak. Lin Feng vaguely remembered a news report saying 6 shots couldn't kill a dog. Though it was a maddened Tibetan Mastiff, the performance of the 05 revolver was considered a disgrace among firearms, with bullet power even lower than a bow and arrow. Just as Lin Feng hesitated over whether to upgrade, a disheveled woman lifted the cloth curtain and crawled into the rooftop. The woman, with broken round-framed glasses, had dark yellow skin and an expressionless gaze. "I'm Ding Yi, time to change the dressing." The woman approached, unwrapping the cloth around Lin Feng's right leg, scraping off the foul-smelling plant residue, and replacing it with new ones. Lin Feng gripped the revolver tightly, his face contorted in pain. "Are you a doctor?" "No, I used to be a teacher." The red rocks everywhere were baked into red iron ore, which has a lot of bacteria, but fortunately, the current wound infection is just bacterial, not tetanus. "Who are you really, and where am I?" Ding Yi pushed her glasses up. "This is a small team escaping the Wasteland. I woke up just over a month before you, also rescued by Captain Chen from an underground cave. As for this desolate wasteland, there are no moonlit nights, only 2 suns in the sky, so it is always daytime. Behind us is the largest and hottest one, and we must travel 20 kilometers daily to escape the searing heat. Legend has it that the Golden Crow was sent by the heavens to purify the earth, and a savior will emerge from the ground, shoot the sun, and rescue people. But right now, you must save yourself first. Vice Captain Chi Mountain wants to seize the opportunity to sell you to the caravan ahead. To survive, you'll need the support of the captain." Before she finished speaking, a quarrel erupted outside the roof. Ding Yi lifted the burlap curtain. In front stood a short but strong person, holding a steel rod, confronting the deserters. Lin Feng recognized her. It was Chen Shanshan, who saved him, the captain of this deserter group. A mysterious woman wearing a gray-cloaked coat, with a hood, her face covered by burlap. The .05 revolver in Lin Feng's hand was left by her for his self-defense. At this moment, Chen Shanshan seemed a bit angry, her voice hoarse. "He's not dead yet. We agreed before that we must never sell a living person." The leader, the man who earlier ate the lizard raw and looked greedily at Lin Feng, Vice Captain Chi Mountain. "Captain, everyone hasn't had a taste of fat for days. This guy is the biggest find in our dig. He's too badly injured. Without medicine, he'll die sooner or later. Better to sell him alive while he can still fetch a good price. A fresh and healthy blood slave like him could feed us all for a week." The other deserters echoed in agreement. Chen Shanshan waved the steel rod, pointing its tip at the man, speaking coldly. "Chi Mountain, you want to rebel, go ahead and try." The gaunt and weary deserters, facing their strongest late-stage enhanced people team leader, showed fear. Chi Mountain's gaze turned dark, he sniffed with his nose, pointing at the cart's roof, his brow furrowed. "His leg is already festering and reeking. Even if not sold, like this, it'll attract those carnivorous desolate beasts. We're already starved as it is, yet carry this burden. Is the captain intending to doom us all?" Chen Shanshan's expression was grave. Seeing the worried faces of her team, she tried to comfort them. "We collected a lot of sea buckthorn grass this time. If we quicken our pace and catch up with the main force, we'll exchange plenty of water and jerky." Chi Mountain squinted upwards, spotting circling black dots on the horizon, and then sneered, "Still over 20 kilometers to go. Scavenger vultures have already smelled death. They will attract nearby herds of beasts. We're on 2 legs, still need to take turns pulling the cart. Care to race 4 legs?" Chen Shanshan was speechless but still refused to give in. Chi Mountain eyed the carts of supplies behind the captain, his gaze full of greed. "Since we can't agree, then let's dissolve the team." As he finished, another woman, Tian Wanrong, spoke in a sinister tone. "According to the agreement, the underground harvest should be shared equally. Captain Chen, if you're unwilling to give up on this dying man, then the rest of the food belongs to us all." Exchanging a glance with Chi Mountain, Tian Wanrong, emboldened, stepped forward to the cart and took a bundle of fresh sandalwood grass roots. Several followers of Chi Mountain followed suit one by one. The other team members saw this, a bit tempted, but restrained by Captain Chen's prestige, dared not step forward. At this moment, Chi Mountain took out a small bag of sparkling white stuff and shouted to everyone, "In the convoy up ahead, several revolvers have recently emerged. I heard they are recruiting people to form a new desert hunting team, and they are in urgent need of manpower now. Revolvers are equipped with RVs, and even if you just run errands, you can sleep under the cool truck and have unpolluted wastewater, with food and shelter provided. When I went to exchange for supplies, I befriended quite a few revolvers servants. I have some connections and can help introduce you." This bag of refined salt was exchanged from them. Pure fine salt is a rare commodity in the Wasteland, only available to revolvers who can obtain it from above. Upon these words, those who were hesitating and observing showed longing and made their decision, stepping forward. From gradually taking the remaining supplies on the cart to scrambling, seizing, and dividing. Ding Yi, who initially wanted to dissuade, stayed silent when she saw Chen Shanshan, the captain, remained mute. She took a bundle of grass roots, clicked her tongue, and watched coldly. In the end, except for Ding Yi and the captain, the rest of the team followed Chi Mountain and took away almost all the supplies. Carrying such a burden, one wonders how far the kind-hearted Captain Chen can go. If you're going to feast, better do it early. When the meat's rotten, it's worthless. Before leaving, Chi Mountain didn't forget to look back and sneer, making a throat-slitting gesture towards Lin Feng on the cart. As the former teammates parted ways, Ding Yi watched their distant backs and cursed, "A bunch of ingrates. If it weren't for Captain Chen saving them, they'd be dead on the road." Lin Feng squinted, enduring the scorching sun overhead, wearing only shorts and a thin linen shirt. The ragged linen canopy that once covered the cart had been taken by a few deserters. Now, they were left with only a broken wooden cart and a bundle of sandalwood grass roots in Ding Yi's hand. "Thirsty?" Lin Feng licked his chapped lips and weakly called out with a burning throat. Captain Chen put away her steel rod, took a leather water bag from her waist, and gave Lin Feng a small sip. "This is all we have left, half a bag. The rest depends on your fortune." The less than half mouthful of water greatly eased his throat pain, slightly improving Lin Feng's condition. Ding Yi handed over a 10-centimeter-long grass root. "This is a mutated sea buckthorn grass. The swollen root tubers contain starchy sugars that can be eaten directly. It's good for your wound recovery." Lin Feng hesitated for a moment before putting the grass root into his mouth. The scorching heat waves rolled in as Chen Shanshan moved to the front of the cart, placing her hands on each side of the handle, pulling the worn wooden cart. With her back to the two of them, she said in a low tone, "It's getting late, we should set off." Only the three-member team continued on the barren wasteland, following the numerous tire tracks on the ground. Lin Feng chewed on the sandalwood grass root. The sour juice stimulated saliva production, relieving the dryness of his mouth and throat. The tuber fibers were rough, like a piece of bread dough. After eating one root, his life value recovered from 6 points to 7 points, showing it had some effect. "Sorry, I dragged you all into this." After his condition improved, Lin Feng chose to upgrade his revolver while slowly opening up. Having witnessed the team's infighting, incitement, and division, he knew that Chen Shanshan, with her personality and principles, wasn't suited to be a captain. But without her persistence, he might have ended up in different sets of stomachs long ago. "It wasn't much about you," Chi Mountain had a premeditated plan. "Even without you, he would have found other excuses to drive the captain away. Those idiots really think it's easy to join the desert hunting team. When Chi Mountain sells them, they'll probably even help him count the money." Ding Yi cursed while pushing the cart from behind. "Save your strength. They won't let it go easily. After we walk 20 kilometers, you two need to stand guard." Chen Shanshan spoke in a deep voice, tearing off a piece of burlap from herself and throwing it to Lin Feng, covering his head to prevent sunburn. After eating the second piece of sandalwood grass, the weak and exhausted Lin Feng's eyelids grew heavy, and he fell back into unconsciousness. When he woke again, the cart had stopped. The captain was resting under the shade of a rock, while Ding Yi kept watch above, with half a piece of sandalwood grass root in her mouth. And in his hand, the revolver had been upgraded. Item name, ordinary revolver, white quality, ordinary level 1 revolver, description, a modestly upgraded revolver. Improved from its most battered state into a usable sidearm. Still not a one-shot killer, but now has enough stopping power for practical self-defense and small game hunting. Basic attributes, level 1, damage, 2, effective range, 20 meters, remaining bullets, 6 out of 6, upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit, activated extra attribute, recover 1 bullet per hour, evaluation, an optimized revolver with double damage compared to its base form. Has some stopping power but not enough for a guaranteed one-shot kill. Good for target practice or shooting birds. Holding the spotless black revolver, Lin Feng felt a surge of joy. It seemed item upgrades were closely tied to his power level. The damage and effective range of the revolver now at least provided an initial level of lethality. And it had upgraded to include an automatic bullet recovery attribute. No need to worry about ammunition for now. But soon, Lin Feng realized the sea buckthorn grass root could only restore his life value to a maximum of 7 points, and its effect on healing his right leg injury was very limited. The wound was still festering, suppurating. He understood this was due to his weak physique, the poor resistance, mere carbohydrate intake was far from enough. To heal on his own, he needed to eat meat. Replenish protein and fat. But in the wasteland, meat was an extremely precious resource. Lin Feng looked up at the black dots swirling in the sky. Those birds. Ding Yi looked down, collecting the spat-out grass root to weave into hemp rope. Those are scavenger vultures, the wasteland's harbingers of death. They target weak and dying animals, trailing them until they're dead before feasting. They're following us now. What Chi Mountain said is true, attracted by the stench from your right leg wound. Lin Feng clenched the revolver in his hand, squinting as he swallowed hard. Those scavenger vultures. Are they edible? Chapter 2, Wasteland, Scavenger Vulture, baiting with the body. Ding Yi hesitated for a moment, then understood what Lin Feng meant. They are edible, but hard to kill. They are the most cautious scavengers on this wasteland. They follow a target and only approach slowly after confirming the prey is completely dead and pose no danger. If there's any disturbance within 100 or 200 meters, they'll fly away immediately. At this distance, the bow and arrow of the deserters don't have enough power. Professional desert hunting teams with rifles don't value the few scraps of meat on a scavenger vulture. Because rifle bullets are more expensive. At this point, Ding Yi sighed softly. Don't even think about it, unless you press your gun to their face, or else it's not even as good as a fire stick. Wait for me to look around for any lizards, beetles, or ants. Lin Feng took a deep breath, smelling the foul stench coming from his right leg. He shook his head. They are the only large prey in sight. How much longer until we set off again? Ding Yi was already rummaging through the rocks, pulling out a 10-centimeter-long dagger knife from her waist, her hands and feet agile. We've walked for nearly 8 hours, covering 20 kilometers. Now we have 16 hours left, but Captain Chen needs 8 hours of rest, leaving 8 hours to gather food. This is the life of most deserters on the wasteland. Unless you have enough strength and resources to catch up with the main force, spend a fortune to get on a motorhome, and have a decent sleep. If you rest while on the move, time becomes more ample. I heard that in the advanced RVs of the evolvers, there's even a special electric fan and air conditioning. As she spoke, Ding Yi licked her deeply cracked white lips. After more than a month, she'd forgotten the feel of cool air, able to drink the condensate from the air conditioner. Lin Feng's mind conjured up memories of air-conditioned rooms, especially missing them under the scorching 40-degree heat. So, is this still Earth? Ding Yi nodded, then shook her head. It's Earth, but not as it used to be. We've lost much of our memory during dormancy, and only by constantly evolving can we recall the past. The captain has been awake for over 5 years, covering almost 40,000 kilometers. The equator is just over 40,000 kilometers, her awakening point is nearby, so she's been saving people lately. Lin Feng squinted his eyes, acknowledging the captain's strength. Is she looking for her family from the past? Ding Yi glanced at Lin Feng, using the knife to dig out an unidentified root from the rock crevice. That's right. You have delicate skin and handsome looks, definitely wealthy or noble before. Once you regain your memory, you might help recall things. Lin Feng licked his cracked lips, only remembering vague fragments about his past. But none of that mattered. What was important now was finding meat by any means possible, to survive. Lin Feng then struggled to stand and tore the bandage from his right leg, revealing a mass of roots soaked in putrid pus. Enduring the immense pain, he peeled them off with trembling hands, exposing a 12-centimeter-long, festering wound to the air. No known anti-inflammatory herbs, let's try this. Ding Yi tasted the unknown root in her hand, confirmed the sour and numbing sensation on her tongue, and walked towards the cart. Lin Feng shook his head. He was too weak, and no amount of herbs would help. After applying the putrid pus from the roots on both hands, he said to the woman in front of him, who looked puzzled, just like this, bury me. Ding Yi paused, then felt a bit angered. You don't want to live anymore? You're the first to give up so soon. It's a waste of the captain's goodwill. I should have listened to Qi Mountain, selling you off early. Lin Feng smiled, smeared the pus onto his face, and slowly raised the revolver, aiming at the black dot far in the sky. I can't hold on much longer. Starving to death is a slow demise, might as well give it one last shot. Bury me under that obvious scorched earth, cover with a layer of yellow sand. The rest. Leave it to me. Ding Yi was stupefied, only realizing Lin Feng intended to play dead, lure the scavenger vultures down and ambush them. Looking at the man's pale face and determined eyes, Ding Yi felt a strange sensation, even ignoring the strong stench he emitted. Then she put away the roots, pushed the cart, to use oneself as bait, facing death. To live. I'm quite curious, who exactly were you before? Adapting so quickly too. Lin Feng lay on the cart, tightly gripping the revolver. I just want to live. More than 10 minutes later, Lin Feng was abandoned 200 meters away from the temporary camp, on a barren scorched earth. The smell of decay wafted into the air along with the heat, following the wound on his right leg. Soon, those scavenger vultures circling the horizon gradually lowered their altitude, hovering 100 to 200 meters above Lin Feng's head from 1,000 meters high. They were verifying if the prey was truly dead. Time ticked by, second by second, until 10 minutes later. When Lin Feng was nearly at the end, a small group of scavenger vultures landed just a few dozen meters away from him. They cautiously approached this side. Hopping and hopping, craning their necks, eyes darting suspiciously. Hearing the noise, Lin Feng came to his senses, narrowed his eyes slightly, half drooping them, leaving only narrow slits, holding his breath and concentrating. With his weakened and pale cheeks and the rotting stench emanating from his body, he looked like someone long dead. Before long, a hungry scavenger vulture mustered the courage to come up, tilting its neck sideways, glaring with its marble-sized red eyes, observing the human half buried in the ground. The nauseating stench from the prey was, to the scavenger vulture's eyes, a rare delicacy. Due to the scarcity of food, most carnivores on the wilderness have evolved to develop scavenging abilities, but few animals actually prefer eating carrion. The scavenger vulture just happens to be one of the few. Birds have a straightforward digestive system. In fact, they often need to peck at gravel and sand to aid digestion, while the creatures in the wilderness have low moisture content, with thick blood and flesh that is like wind-dried cured meat, even harder to digest. So scavenger vultures sometimes wait for the corpse to undergo initial bacterial fermentation, becoming soft and mushy, before tearing into the carrion and devouring it ravenously. Fortunately, before playing dead, Lin Feng specifically endured the nausea to spread the foul pus from his right leg all over his body, to lower the scavenger vulture's guard. In the scavenger vulture's eyes, this was basically a delicious meal delivered to their door. The hungry scavenger vulture approached the foul-smelling right leg wound, using its hooked beak to peck at the rotten flesh. Seeing this, the rest of the flock let down their guard. Driven by hunger, they gradually approached. The pain from the scavenger vulture's pecks made Lin Feng exceedingly alert. He bit his tongue hard, breaking out in cold sweat. But the craving for food and fear of death overcame the increasingly numb pain nerves, keeping his body rigid, secretly gathering strength. Until more and more scavenger vultures gathered. Lin Feng seized the opportunity, gripped one scavenger vulture's talons with his left hand, and with his right hand, which held the .05 revolver, raised it instantly. And fired wildly at the flock of vultures around him. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. 6 bullets fired in one go. The revolver has many drawbacks, but it never jams. Even with a dud round, it simply advances to the next shot. Therefore, rapid firing is very smooth. And the reduced power of the .05 revolver makes the recoil very manageable, easy to control. Even someone as weakened as Lin Feng could manage to control it to spray fire at the flock of scavenger vultures. After emptying all the bullets, along with a series of gunshots, the flock of scavenger vultures instantly scattered like a frightened flock of animals. Among them, 4 unlucky ones were hit at close range by the .05 revolver, losing their stable flight ability, flapping awkwardly on the ground, or struggling to glide a few dozen meters before crashing down. And the scavenger vulture whose talons Lin Feng clutched tightly was startled, frantically flapping its wings, pecking with its sharp beak at his arm, trying to break free. This was the one kept for the worst-case scenario. But by this time, Lin Feng had exhausted all his energy, barely able to lift his hand, with weakening strength in his left hand. Just as he was about to let go, a steel bar pierced through the struggling scavenger vulture, driving it straight into a rock crevice. The next moment, Lin Feng was completely spent, collapsing to the ground. With a sidelong glance, he saw a person bending a bow, aiming, shooting down the other wounded scavenger vultures attempting to flee. Before he closed his eyes and fainted. A reminder flashed in the corner of his eye. Creature, scavenger vulture, level 1 out of 9, deceased, attributes, life value, 0 out of 10, physique, 5 out of 10, spirit, 3 out of 10, attribute limits, each level 1 attribute maximum, 10, evaluation, a survival master of the wasteland and harbinger of death. Often cooperates with other carnivores, guiding them in hunting and eliminating the old, weak, and sick. Its meat is dry, hard, sour, and fishy, with energy-rich chest muscles. Chapter 3. Vulture breast meat, recovery, level 2 superior revolver. The warm liquid with a slight metallic taste made Lin Feng slowly open his eyes. He was resting on Ding Yi's thigh, sipping the light red liquid she had filled in a plastic bottle. The rotten pus on his body had been wiped clean. At the cart's end, 5 scavenger vulture corpses were placed neatly. 3 of them had been plucked of feathers and cleaned, revealing brownish skin, while the other 2, next dangling, were having their throats slit for bloodletting. The thick blood dripped like snot, with a rustling sound nearby, drop by drop into the bottle. You can't drink the scavenger vulture's blood directly, so I added some fresh water to dilute it. Ding Yi's voice came, full of undisguised excitement. The 5 scavenger vultures had been a bountiful harvest. Lin Feng continued drinking, swallowing the diluted, rusty blood water in small sips to check his condition. Character, Lin Feng, level 1, weak, attributes, life value, 7 out of 10, physique, 7 out of 10, spirit, 8 out of 10. Attribute limits, each level 1 attribute maximum, 10, both life value and physique had somewhat restored. Clearly, nutritious food was needed to heal quickly. The scars left on his left hand from the scavenger vulture's struggles had scabbed over without infection. How long was I unconscious? After drinking more than half a bottle, Lin Feng asked. Ding Yi helped him to the base of a rock to rest, then looked at the dust cloud rising in the distance. About half an hour, the main group hasn't gone far. At this moment, Chen Shanshan approached, holding a sharp knife, and started dissecting the vultures. The rustling noise Lin Feng heard earlier was Captain Chen sharpening the knives. Chen Shanshan's technique was very skilled. Ding Yi also took out her self-defense dagger to learn alongside. These were all precious survival skills in the wasteland. In the captain's hands, the vulture, as big as a human head, was quickly sliced into 8 large pieces. The organs in the abdominal cavity, heart, and lungs could be eaten directly, while the liver, spleen, kidneys, and gallbladder, which accumulated toxins, would be dried on the cart as future food reserves. The slender intestines were turned inside out, scraped clean of half-digested gristle, and after some kneading, became elastic cords that could be used for binding. After handling the easily rotten organs came the real challenge of separating meat and bones. Despite the vulture's large size, 2/3 of it was feathers. The bone and meat together weighed less than 2 pounds, and after removing the bones, barely a pound of shredded meat could be scraped out. The only intact, large piece of meat, and also the most tender and delicious, was its breast meat. After retrieving 3 portions of breast meat, Chen Shanshan cut them into finger-sized strips. She sent Ding Yi over with 2 portions for Lin Feng, approximately 1 pound in weight. The fresh water is down to half a pouch. Eating too much meat will deplete even more water. Eat a little now, and when we catch up to the main group, we can exchange some water bags then. Chen Shanshan reminded, noting that eating too much would only worsen dehydration. She continued processing the 2 remaining vultures after bloodletting. Lin Feng nodded slightly, disregarding the bloody smell of the raw meat strips as he scooped them into his mouth to chew. They were cold, with a texture akin to tofu or pudding, lacking the rough fibrous texture of cooked or dried meat. Eating over a dozen strips in one go, his hunger-twisted stomach finally felt a little satiated, and his frail body improved. Lin Feng set down the wooden board he used as a plate and continued drinking the diluted blood water. He was somewhat surprised by Chen Shanshan's generosity. Through Ding Yi's introduction, he knew that vulture breast meat was the most nutritious and delicious part of the bird, holding 70% of its value. They could have easily kept it for themselves, only giving him the scraps or ignoring him entirely. There was no need to waste precious food and water on someone close to death. As if noticing Lin Feng's confusion, Ding Yi, who was threading vulture feathers with hemp rope, said, "You risked your life for them, and by our team's rules, you deserve the best parts. Even though resources are scarce, we haven't sunk to the point of harming teammates. That's also the captain's approach. Rescuing every member is a priority as long as it doesn't endanger their own life. So even though we've been hungry, unlike other deserted village squads, we do not live in constant fear of betrayal." Lin Feng nodded in acknowledgement, and replied softly, "Thank you." Ding Yi measured Lin Feng's shoulder with the hemp rope. "No need to thank. Get well soon, we need more hands now." Lin Feng nodded silently. After digestion, his life value on the panel increased to 8 points. Before long, the wound on his right leg would scab over, and he could stand and walk, no longer burdening the other 2. 10 minutes later, after the captain processed all the vultures, she laid out the gutted organs and meat mush on the cart to dry in the direct sunlight. Then she looked at Lin Feng, who appeared to be recovering, and Ding Yi, who was weaving. "It's time to go. Gunfire will attract nearby deserted village squads. We're only 3 people, and it's dangerous." Lin Feng nodded, more accurately describing them as 2 people since he and Ding Yi together were barely 1. Straining to rise with the help of the rock wall, Lin Feng got back onto the cart, continuing to eat meat and drink blood to hasten the recovery of his injuries and strength. The group set off again, following the tracks on the ground to escape the hunting site. A while later, Lin Feng noticed 3 bullets in the revolver, realizing that 3 hours had passed. By now, the group had covered 5 kilometers, safely distancing themselves from the temporary campsite. Chen Shanshan announced a rest, finding a shade under a large rock. Seeing the captain's labored breath, Lin Feng knew she was in poor shape after dragging them along for over 10 hours straight. Even with her formidable strength, she was prone to exhaustion. Chen Shanshan was the only combat power in the team. She couldn't afford to be incapacitated. If only they had a vehicle, even a tricycle, it would be easier than this broken cart. The longing for safety grew ever stronger in Lin Feng's heart. Checking the corner of his vision, his personal attributes showed his life value had recovered to 9, and the exterior wound on his right leg had fully scabbed, allowing him to stand and walk slowly. Just in case, Lin Feng decided to seize the moment and continue eating vulture breast meat to speed up recovery. Slowly getting up, he went to the cart, grabbed a half-dried meat strip, and stuffed it into his mouth. The 2 women noticed but continued to rest. Shortly, as the 4th bullet formed, Lin Feng's life value and physique attribute both reached the upper limit of 10. With a warm current flowing through his abdomen and dispersing throughout his body, he successfully advanced to level 2. Character, Lin Feng, level 2 out of 9. Attributes, life value, 14 out of 15, physique, 14 out of 15, spirit, 13 out of 15, attribute limits, each level 2 attribute maximum, 15, item upgrade upper limit increased to level 2, 1 life value point can be consumed to upgrade a level 1 ordinary revolver. Without hesitation, Lin Feng chose the upgrade. Moments later, the 05 revolver in his hand felt brand new. Item name, quality revolver, white quality level 2 revolver, description, a twice optimized revolver with an increased caliber. Balanced for improved stopping power and mid-range accuracy. Basic attributes, level 2, damage 4, effective range 50 meters, remaining bullets 6 out of 6. Upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit. Extra attributes, recover 1 bullet per minute. Evaluation, damage and range have doubled from base, capable of killing with 2 well-placed shots and deals double damage on vital hits. Strong deterrent effect for close to mid engagements. With its exceptional quality, the newly upgraded revolver had a slightly enlarged barrel, and the remaining ammunition was fully replenished. Lin Feng suddenly had an idea and opened the revolver drum magazine, hoping to remove the bullets inside, but failed. If only the bullet recovery was purely automatic. 1 round per minute, 60 rounds per hour, over 1,000 rounds a day, they could exchange for countless supplies. This bullet recovery was probably a conceptual special ability. Nevertheless, the quality revolver's combat power could not be underestimated. Lin Feng put it away securely, drawing a sense of security from it. Nearby, after a short rest, Ding Yi reopened her eyes and resumed weaving the vulture feathers. Seeing this, Lin Feng began to inquire about the strength classifications among the deserters and the existence of evolvers. After the upgrade, he felt a significant increase in power. Once fully healed, he should possess some combat capability. He wondered if he was stronger than Qi Mountain's group. Ding Yi was about to speak, ready to share her limited knowledge from a month's experience. Then Chen Shan, resting in the shade, suddenly opened her eyes, gripped the steel rod tightly, and whispered, "Be careful, someone's coming." Chapter 4, Confrontation, Deal, and Holy Spring Day. Lin Feng's heart tightened instantly, gripping the premium level 2 revolver in his hand, watchfully surveying his surroundings. The injury on his right leg, even after upgrading, only allowed him to walk slowly, unable to run away. If the captain and Ding Yi didn't want to abandon him, they would have to stay put and pray they wouldn't be discovered. But those who come with ill intentions wouldn't come otherwise. The other party was obviously following the gunshots and the smell of blood all the way. Soon, a few thin silhouettes appeared on the horizon not far away. Lin Feng forced himself to stand, leaning against a rock wall, trying not to reveal his injured state. Chen Shan glanced at the gun in the man's hand. The latter nodded to show confirmation. The .05 revolver was given to him by Captain Chen, and Lin Feng knew the other party was aware that the revolver only had 3 bullets left. And during the hunt for the scavenger vulture, he fired 6 shots. The bullet recovery feature had already been exposed, not to mention the brand new change in the condition of the gun, which was impossible to hide. Now that a formidable enemy was present, the firearm in Lin Feng's hand was key to intimidation in the standoff, with no need for concealment. Receiving a positive response from the man, Chen Shan, reassured, raised the 2-meter-long steel rod, waiting silently for the other party to approach. Even if civilization has regressed and order collapsed, the deterrence of firearms remains immense. Especially in the deserters group, where being hit means an early death sentence, no one would risk raiding a squad armed with guns. Soon, several deserters who had surfaced in the distance stopped over 100 meters away from the trio. There were 4 of them in total. After observing Chen Shan's group, one of them broke away and returned the way they came, while the other members continued to squat and monitor. These are just scouts, they've gone back to call in reinforcements. Should we strike first? Lin Feng slowly spoke, proactively offering the revolver. The captain, with strong power and extreme speed, could easily ambush the 3 in the distance with the handgun, and then catch up with Lin Feng and the others. But Chen Shan shook her head. A deserters group that can send out a 4-person scouting team has at least more than 20 members. Gunshots and deaths would only attract them to keep pursuing us. But correspondingly, a team with such strength doesn't have a strong need for food. Before hatred is sparked, contact and negotiation are the first choices. The captain explained the rules of the Wasteland. The worse the state of the deserters group encountered, the more careful you need to be in dealing with them. They are already on the brink of death, fearless for a bite to eat. Conversely, the stronger ones are easier to talk to. After all, they have more concerns. Cautiousness comes first. Risk and reward must be proportional to take action. Lin Feng nodded, quietly taking it to heart. Soon after, over a dozen deserters appeared one after another from the direction they came, including a few well-dressed, healthy-looking leaders. Just from appearances, this deserters team was much stronger than Shan Shan's previous subordinates. The team possessed an iron cart and a tricycle, both loaded with supplies. Seeing that the other party wasn't short on food, Lin Feng felt a bit relieved, but Chen Shan, beside him, narrowed her eyes thoughtfully. Soon, from the deserters team that stopped 100 meters away, 3 individuals stepped forward, one of whom was tall, about 1.90 meters, with muscular arms exposed in a bronze hue, and several scars on his ferocious-looking face. Clearly not someone to be trifled with. Lin Feng gulped, feeling like a chick in the eyes of this fierce man. The trio stopped 30 meters away. Looking at Chen Shan and the group, the big man laughed and spoke, his tone teasing, "Captain Chen, how come your team is down to these 2 weaklings? I told you a long time ago, you're not fit to lead a team. That Qi Mountain guy is duplicitous and cunning. Sooner or later he'll push you out. In this situation, why not join us? With your strength, you won't worry about food." Apparently, they knew each other. Lin Feng read the situation. Chen Shan took a deep breath and put down the steel rod. "No need for Captain Li's concern, we're doing just fine." Li Hu glanced around at the group, noticing the revolver in Lin Feng's hand, then suddenly showed interest in the team's only man. Is this the new survivor you found? Nice build, perky butt, looks tender. Recently, at the slave market, some big shots from the Oasis fancy this kind of. Humphrey, seems you got lucky. 1 enhancing potion, plus 2 pounds of jerky, and 5 liters of fresh water, deal? Lin Feng's pupils contracted, and his heart tightened sharply, looking at the captain's back. The turn of events was greatly beyond his expectations. Chen Shanshan frowned slightly and shook her head. Li Hu continued, with your capabilities, just 1 injection of enhancing potion, and you could rise to a level 9 enhanced person, only a step away from a tier 1 evolver. With such favorable terms, I can't think of any reason to refuse. Chen Shanshan's gaze was cold as she lifted the steel rod in her hand. I don't sell living people, you know that. Li Hu didn't insist further, but the woman beside him addressed Lin Feng, her tone frivolous. Little brother, you've experienced how harsh the wasteland is. Instead of struggling among the deserters, starving, and living in constant fear, why not let us take you to a better life? As long as you behave, there will be more food than you can eat, safe housing, soft beds, and air conditioning. The living conditions of the big shots, practically a paradise on Earth. So, do you want to come with us? These things, you won't experience even if you follow Captain Chen your whole life until death. The woman then shifted her tone, speaking in a low voice, you better think clearly, in a few days, when your skin is sunburnt and cracked, turning yellow and black, you won't be worthy of such good treatment. Lin Feng stared at the woman in front of him, suddenly smiled, sorry, I am confident I can live well and want to live a few more days, rather than become someone else's plaything. I'd rather die with dignity than grovel in submission. After speaking, Lin Feng slowly aimed the gun at himself. To show his resolve and intimidation. He knew very well that even though he was only level 2, he had a life value upper limit of 15 points, whereas the opponent's strength far surpassed his, with power and speed multiple times stronger. So the threat of the level 2 revolver wasn't much. But even if Lin Feng couldn't threaten them, he could kill himself before they tore off their masks. For a dead man, there's no need to act. Seeing this scene, several people not far away looked at Lin Feng in surprise, and Li Hu sighed, he is still a man. Chen Shanshan, you've finally turned your luck. After saying that, he turned and led his people away. Wait. Lin Feng suddenly spoke, pointing to the dried meat strips on the cart, I want to make a trade. Li Hu thought the other party had changed his mind. But it turned out to be about this, so he frowned slightly, these few pounds of meat won't exchange for anything good. Lin Feng didn't mind, I only want fresh water. Previously, the other party was willing to offer 2 pounds of jerky for 5 liters of water, indicating they're not short of water. Li Hu looked at the minced meat dry on the cart and the piled scavenger vulture feathers, then held up 2 fingers, 2 pieces of vulture breast meat, 4 liters of fresh water. Ding Yi and Chen Shanshan's faces changed. The latter questioned in a deep voice, half a pound of jerky can exchange for 4 liters of water. You're robbing us? Li Hu looked at Lin Feng, speaking matter-of-factly, yes, it's profiteering, or you can travel another 20 or 30 kilometers to catch up with the main force for a trade. But the vicissitudes along the way justify the price. Lin Feng took a deep breath, facing the looks from the 2 women, firm in his resolve. 1 piece of vulture breast meat dried weighs close to half a pound, 2 pieces for 5 liters of fresh water. Li Hu nodded, not bargaining further, all right. After completing the exchange, Lin Feng looked at the 5 plastic bottles filled with fresh water in front of him, unable to help but feel saliva gathering in his mouth. Before leaving, Li Hu reminded Chen Shanshan, I saw a pack of desert wolves when coming, following the gunshots, they are searching this way. Holy Spring Day is almost here, and we need to keep moving. Good luck to you. Chen Shanshan watched them leave with a serious expression. Lin Feng couldn't wait to open a bottle of water and drank half in one go, asking about what Li Hu had just mentioned. What are Oasis and Holy Spring Day? Ding Yi packed up the remaining mincemeat dry on the cart. It's related to the place they want to sell you, the big shots on the Oasis. At the forefront of our refugee team is a steel giant beast traveling on the desert, called the Moving Oasis. Every 15 days, the upper class of the Oasis will hold a grand gathering to recruit servants and soldiers from the deserters, and during the praise of the Lord, the Holy Spring sect will open the Oasis's drainage valve to shower the Lord's grace. So this day is also called Holy Spring Day, and all the deserter teams will hasten their pace to catch up with the main force before this day. It's already September 13th, less than 2 days from Holy Spring Day. Speaking of this, Ding Yi remembered Qi Mountain, who left with people, and said angrily, no wonder Qi Mountain stole the supplies yesterday. Chen Shanshan, standing by, wasn't concerned, calmly gazing into the distance. Lin Feng was about to continue asking about the strength divisions among the Wasteland deserters when he followed her gaze. A few hundred meters away, where they came from, a giant gray wolf climbed over a hill, standing at the top. Its reddish wolf eyes met the gaze of the group. Chapter 5, Desert Wolf, Enhanced People, and Optimized Superpower. Is that the Desert Wolf Li Hu and the others mentioned? Using the boulder next to the gray wolf, Lin Feng calculated its size. It's a full 3 meters in length, over 2 meters even without the tail, comparable to a small tiger, weighing about 100 kilograms. At this moment, the desert wolf had already set its sights on the group. Lin Feng swallowed nervously, gripping the level 2 revolver in his hand tightly, ready for action. Ding Yi showed a hint of fear in her eyes. Being targeted by such a fierce and cunning beast was not a good thing, exactly, and desert wolves rarely act alone. They're pack animals, so if there's one, it means there's an entire wolf pack behind it. This mutant giant wolf was already a challenge for Lin Feng. If there was a pack, everyone would become prey for the wolves. Chen Shanshan squinted her eyes, observing from behind, and slowly spoke, "No need to worry, this is an old wolf, its fur already turning yellow and white, not very strong, maybe just level 7 at most." Such old desert wolves are usually ostracized, acting as the outskirts pathfinders, located at least 10 kilometers from the core wolf pack. It hasn't howled yet, meaning it's still observing us, evaluating our strength, likely following the scavenger vulture, attracted by the smell of decay, intending to swallow the prey alone. We have enough fresh water now, let's wait it out, and if things don't work out, we can catch up with the main force. Seeing the leader's confident assessment based on her rich wasteland experience, the other two relaxed slightly. Lin Feng sat back down, handed the water bottle to the two, and continued to inquire about the classification of strength in the wasteland, to assess the current situation and determine whether the three of them could counterattack the trailing deserted old wolf. Ding Yi withdrew her gaze, weaving feathers in her hand, while responding, "It's said to be left by our ancestors from long ago. Before becoming an evolver, one must undergo 3 major enhancements, known as enhanced people. These enhancements are further divided into level 9. The first 3 levels are early-stage enhanced people, with strength increasing from 100 kilograms to 300 kilograms. Humans were generally at this level before. On a level 1 enhanced person, and most initial awakened in the wasteland are around this level. Levels 4 to 6 are mid-stage enhanced people, with strength around half a ton, the backbone of deserters. Chi Mountain, who was the deputy leader before, is a level 6 enhanced person, and his subordinates are around level 4 and level 5. Above that are level 7 to level 9 late-stage enhanced people, the top tier among deserters, with strength nearing a ton. The leader, along with the 3 people involved in the recent negotiation, including Li Hu, are all in this category. That's why the situation earlier was exceptionally dangerous. Despite their seemingly friendly demeanor, once they decide to act, they are as ruthlessly aggressive as a desolate beast. Thinking back, your decision to trade the vulture breast meat was wise. Aside from you, it's the most valuable item in the team, exchanging it for the much-needed fresh water to dissuade their motives. Lin Feng was still pondering his own power level when he heard Ding Yi's explanation, and he earnestly clarified, "I didn't think that far ahead, I just want to avoid catching up with the large group too early. It's crowded there, and there's no telling who might use unscrupulous means to take me away, leaving no future guarantees. Our combat ability is 0, if you go to trade, you're likely to be targeted, and the leader can't protect himself if anything happens to us both. Considering everything, it's better to exchange for some urgently needed fresh water, and after a few days when I'm more tanned, we'll head over together." Upon realizing Lin Feng was concerned about being taken advantage of, Ding Yi and the other exchanged looks at his serious expression, unable to hold back their laughter. Chen Shanshan removed her face mask, picked up one of the 5 bottles of water, took a sip, and carefully poured the rest into her wastewater bag. It was a leather water bag, looking quite old. This was Lin Feng's first time seeing the leader's face. Her wheat-toned skin had a scar stretching from the right cheek to the lip and chin, resembling a sinister centipede. But the leader's eyes were very clear, her face lacking the deep lines found on other female deserters. Noticing Lin Feng's gaze, Chen Shanshan put her cloth face mask back on and introduced herself. "I am currently in level 8 enhanced person. Level 9 enhanced people are just a step away from becoming evolvers, yet the qualitative leap creates a gap as wide as a chasm between them. An evolver can easily suppress an attack by more than 10 enhanced people, not to mention their most vital ability. Upon evolution, one awakens a superpower." Saying this, Chen Shanshan turned back to look at Lin Feng and the new revolver in his hand. This is also the foundation for an evolver's survival. Lin Feng didn't evade, displaying the revolver in his hand. The leader's strength could crush 10 of him, and since they were now a team, he openly explained, "I discovered upon waking that my body's energy can optimize weapons and equipment. He omitted the mention of the upgrade system and chose a different explanation. Hearing the man openly admit this, the two women were surprised, especially Ding Yi, whose eyes gleamed. So that means, Lin Feng, you were already a Nevolver before. The power and status of a Nevolver were indisputable, revered by all deserters. Lin Feng glanced at the level 2 on his panel, with a twitch in his lips, quickly explaining that he doesn't recall his past, and his current strength was just slightly superior to Ding Yi. Chen Shanshan added, even without becoming a Nevolver, during the late-stage level 7 enhancement, there's a chance to awaken a superpower, though it's less than a 10% probability. I was fortunate to be one of them, awakening a sensing and detection ability, allowing me to locate resources left behind after the leading force sweeps through, including survivors. Lin Feng might have been just a late-stage enhanced person, as if he were an evolver. It's unlikely the major forces would overlook him. Ding Yi nodded in half-understanding. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. It made sense why Li Hu and the others wished for Chen Shanshan to join them, even inviting her more than once. Sensing-type auxiliary superpower is indeed powerful. Especially in the resource-scarce, perilous Wasteland, finding food and avoiding danger is of paramount importance. After chatting and taking a brief rest, Lin Feng stood up slowly, feeling an emptiness in his stomach, and then focused on the desert wolf slowly approaching from several hundred meters away. I need more food, especially energy-rich meat, to continue evolving and restore my strength. We have to find a way to deal with this old desert wolf. Ding Yi put down her work, looking surprised at the man before her. His ideas were always strikingly original. The humble teams of deserters, upon encountering a desert wolf, always chose to flee, yet he was considering a counterattack. Chen Shanshan furrowed her brows slightly. The desert wolf is not like the scavenger vulture, they are smarter and more cunning, capable of piercing your throat with a single bite and snapping your neck. A slight mishap, and you'd fall victim to the wolves. Moreover, carnivores are distinct from herbivores, they are natural hunters and killing machines, seldom do deserter teams proactively hunt them. We are only 3 people, this is too risky. Lin Feng understood the danger involved. But given the current situation, they were caught between the main force and the desert wolf, with other deserter teams eyeing them in the front, and the wolf pack trailing behind. Resolving the immediate problem was the only way to gain breathing room. With this in mind, Lin Feng firmly said, despite the dangers, it's just an old desert wolf, its abilities definitely aren't what they used to be, and it wishes to monopolize our resources, which is an opportunity. No matter how clever or cunning a beast is, it's still a beast, unable to control its greedy desires. If we show enough flaws, we're sure to lure it in. Chen Shanshan glanced at him, then at the remaining minced meat provisions on the cart. 8 sea buckthorn grass rhizomes, 1 piece of vulture breast meat, and 3 dried pounds of minced meat and innards were left. These would certainly suffice for 2 days, but such items could not exchange for any resources at the Holy Spring gathering. Lin Feng was right, for a team of only 3 to survive, they must take risks to hunt, to regain the resources that Qi Mountain had taken. After a moment's hesitation, Chen Shanshan focused on him, handing over the steel rod in her hand. See if you can optimize it. Lin Feng took it, finding this unimpressive, worn-out steel rod surprisingly heavy, requiring effort to lift it single-handedly with his 200 kilograms of strength. As he touched it, perception results appeared in his eyes. Item name, unknown titanium gun, quality, unknown level unknown, description, a compact firearm forged from an unfamiliar titanium alloy. Surface inscriptions are worn and unreadable. Its design suggests advanced metallurgy and lost era manufacture, but its firing mechanism appears partially degraded. Basic attributes, damage, 20, durability, 4 out of 10, upgrade out of repair method, can consume 1 life value to restore 1 durability point. Usage notes, material indicates prehistoric advanced civilization origin. Handle with caution. Host level currently too low to fully analyze inscription data and internal mechanisms. Evaluation, suspected relic of a prehistoric advanced civilization. High base damage for an unknown level weapon, but low durability and unknown quality make it unstable in prolonged use. Further analysis and higher host level required to unlock latent functions or safe upgrade pathways. Chapter 6, Unknown Titanium Gun, Horn Bow, and Luring the Desert Wolf. Only 4 points of durability remain, meaning this mysterious titanium gun of unknown level and quality is actually nearing the brink of being scrapped. Although it only takes 1 point of life value to repair 1 point of durability, Lin Feng looked at his second-level enhanced person's 14 points of life value and couldn't afford to waste too much on it. So he asked the captain, "Where did you get this from?" A hint of loneliness flashed in Chen Shanshan's eyes, and after hesitating for a few seconds, she replied, "More than 5 years ago, after rescuing my master, who gave it to me after a calamity. This was her weapon, said to come from a large relic. It could originally switch to a spearhead form, The blade is exceptionally sharp, able to easily pierce through 10 centimeters of steel, and could wound an ordinary desert wolf with just one blow. How about it, can it be repaired? Lin Feng frowned slightly, seeing that it indeed has its uses, with a base damage of 20 points, plus the stopping power from the piercing wound, far more effective than chopping and heavy striking. Then, under the captain's expectant gaze, Lin Feng explained the current situation. My ability will consume physical status, fully repairing it is quite taxing and may affect subsequent battles, so I'll just try first. Explaining the situation, Lin Feng first consumed 1 point of life value to see the effect. As a surge of energy was drawn from within his body and infused into the mysterious titanium gun in his hand, the rust on the surface of the ordinary steel rod flaked off, showing slight improvement. Returning the titanium gun to the captain, the latter tightly gripped and twisted the lower segment with both hands. Unfortunately, aside from the scraping sound, the appearance remained unchanged. Lin Feng estimated that a breakthrough might occur after the durability is restored to more than half. 60% after all is considered passing. So he took the titanium gun and continued to consume another point of life value to perform repairs. This time, the surface of the titanium gun was brand new, with the previous tiny rust spots disappearing, and vaguely revealing tadpole-like unknown patterns. Seeing this scene, Chen Shanshan was somewhat excited, took it and directly twisted the lower segment. With a crisp click, from the originally blunt top of the steel rod suddenly sprang a three-edged spearhead, 30 to 40 centimeters long. The three edges were still in a peculiar spiral form. The spear tip was exceptionally sharp, even in the shadow, a cold glint could be seen. Lin Feng couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. This relic origin cold weapon was immensely sci-fi, seemingly capable of piercing any defense. The identification result in his eyes showed that its damage was a full 40 points. If used for killing, it would certainly one-shot each target. Against a desert wolf, a stab to the vital spot could also achieve a one-shot kill. Thank you. Chen Shanshan retracted the spearhead form, looked at Lin Feng with a serious expression, and solemnly thanked him. Then she turned to look at the desert wolves tailing the group. Even her tone became confident. Next, as long as we can lure it into attacking, I'm fully confident in achieving a kill. Lin Feng nodded, without a hint of doubt or contempt due to the short stature of the woman in front of him. She was, after all, a late-stage enhanced person, with evolution level 8, 4 times stronger than himself, possessing nearly a ton of power, and paired with the titanium gun in her hand, dealing with a deserted old wolf was not an issue. But to increase the probability of a kill and decrease the likelihood of injury, Lin Feng decided to continue upgrading another weapon Chen Shanshan had. Hand over the bow and arrow, let me see if I can optimize it. Its shooting is noiseless, more suitable for ambush than a pistol. Chen Shanshan nodded, took down the bow hanging on her shoulder, along with the remaining 5 arrows, and handed them over. This is made from the horn of a mutated zebra, and it's been about 2 years since I've used it. Information about the item floated in Lin Feng's eyes. White quality, crude horn bow level 1, basic attributes, damage, 5, durability, 7 out of 10, effective range, 80 meters, remaining arrows, 5, upgrade potential, can consume 1 point of life value for upgrading, evaluation, inferior horn bow. Requires high user proficiency. Hit rate affected by many factors, not recommended for beginners. Seeing the basic damage of 5 points, Lin Feng decided to upgrade without a second thought. As his life value dropped to 11 points, the horn bow in his hand, infused with the internal energy, was upgraded to level 2, item name, ordinary horn bow, white quality, ordinary level 2 horn bow, description, a sturdy horn bow forged for practical field use. Balanced limbs and reliable stringing make it suitable for hunting and mid-range combat when wielded by a strong archer. Basic attributes, level 2, damage, 10, durability, 10 out of 10, effective range, 150 meters, remaining arrows, 5, upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit, usage notes, requires over 300 kilograms of strength to use proficiently. Hit rate influenced by user strength, stance, and environmental factors. Not recommended for beginners. Evaluation, a usable ordinary horn bow for heavy strength users. Reliable performance at mid-range but demanding in physical requirement and technique. As expected, just as Lin Feng anticipated, the bow's damage doubled after the upgrade to 10 points. He tried drawing it back, feeling some strain. Don't release the bowstring directly, dry pulling can damage the bow, release it slowly. Chen Shanshan promptly reminded Lin Feng, who nearly released his fingers while unfamiliar with the bow and arrow. Slowly retracting his grip, Lin Feng looked at the untouched durability, rubbed the red mark on his forefinger, and handed the horn bow back to Chen Shanshan. Chen Shanshan tried it and nodded with satisfaction. With a titanium gun for close combat, Paired with the horn bow's long-range damage, she was even confident enough to hunt down a desert wolf below level 9 by herself. At this moment, Ding Yi approached, handing Lin Feng a cloak woven with scavenger vulture feathers. The feather robe can shield you from the sun, conceal your scent, and it is breathable and not hot. Lin Feng was wearing only a thin sleeveless hemp robe, woven from plant stems, which was itchy and rough. His exposed arms were already sunburned red. After draping the feather robe, he felt significantly better. Then Ding Yi took out a small bottle made of leg bone from his pocket, pulled out the wooden cork, and a faint fragrant scent wafted out. The liquid inside had a rich blue-green color, which looked obviously dangerous at a glance. This is plant secretion I've collected, concentrated, with strong muscle paralyzing and hallucinogenic effects. The more intense the movement, the faster the effect. Coating the arrowheads with it provides extra security. Upon hearing Ding Yi's introduction, Lin Feng marveled that knowledge is power. Combining it with arrows was simply perfect. Having completed all the preparations before the hunt, only the specific implementation of the steps remained. The first point was how to lure this desert wolf into actively attacking. Lin Feng's injuries had already healed, so playing dead would not be very effective anymore, and facing the desert wolf alone could easily backfire on him. At this point, Ding Yi adjusted his glasses and spoke up, "I'm the weakest now, so I'll act as bait." Lin Feng looked at Ding Yi with some surprise. This woman who had first treated his injury seemed extremely rational, or rather, very self-aware. She was taking on a task that was near suicidal. Chen Shanshan shook her head. With nearly 6 years of experience roughing it in the Wasteland, she had plenty of experience in counter-killing desert wolves. There's no need for a special bait. Desert wolves, although cunning and ruthless, are strong and not at the bottom of the food chain, unlike the cautious scavenger vultures. On the contrary, deliberately exposed flaws would arouse the vigilance of experienced deserted old wolves. Wolves have a keen sense of smell, able to pick up on our scent status, determining strength and targeting the attack. When it's your turn to stand guard, Ding Yi, it will definitely probe. It knows well that as long as it kills one, the rest will flee in panic, becoming the bottom tier of deserters, with no unity or camaraderie worth speaking of. While explaining, the captain coated the arrowheads with a plant secretion. After understanding the habits of desert wolves, the specific hunting plan also became clear. The escaping team had to travel 20 kilometers every day, requiring over 8 hours of rest, and taking turns standing guard. There would always be a flaw. For convenient action, Chen Shanshan found a shallow cave beneath a rocky outcrop, where people could rest inside while placing a sentry outside. In the vision of the desert wolf, the prey was solely the one outside the cave, and all it needed to do was cautiously approach and snatch away the prey. But it didn't know that Chen Shanshan had the perception superpower, capable of detecting nearby dangers even with her eyes closed. As the plan proceeded smoothly, the two sat inside the cave, trying to breathe evenly, feigning sleep. Outside the cave, Ding Yi looked tense. At the slightest stir, she needed to dive into the cave immediately. This was what Chen Shanshan had specially instructed her. Time ticked by slowly, and to ease her inner tension, Ding Yi began searching for grass roots beneath the stones. Half an hour later, the old desert wolf, which had been monitoring them for a long time, circled around and decided to attack from behind. It lay flat 100 meters from the cave entrance, using a boulder to cover the prey's line of sight, and slowly moved forward, inching carefully. Until only 30 meters remained from the cave entrance to the humans. The old desert wolf suddenly pushed off powerfully, leaping straight towards Ding Yi's back. On the rugged slope, it covered 10 meters with each stride, 1 leap per second. A mouthful of fangs gleamed under the sunlight, aiming right at Ding Yi's neck. At the critical moment, a low silhouette suddenly shot out from the cave, a titanium gun aimed at the wolf shadow midair. At the same time, a loud warning came swiftly, "Get down." Chapter 7, Wolf Howl, Lin Feng Level 3, Steel Teeth and Iron Claws. Chen Shanshan's movements were incredibly swift, thanks to her small physique, making her less noticeable. The titanium gun in her hand switched to the triangular spiral gunhead, and with a fierce throw, it pierced the desert wolf's abdomen. The 30-centimeter-long gunhead instantly shattered ribs and penetrated internal organs. Unfortunately, the sustained penetration energy of the throw was limited. It could only achieve this much. If held directly in hand and stabbed through, it could be a one-hit kill. But hitting the target had met the objective. The intense pain and impact caused the desert wolf, which was midair in its sleep, to lose its balance and tumble to the ground. It happened to fall right in front of Ding Yi. Seizing the moment while it fell, Chen Shanshan already charged up to the desert wolf. Her small figure was only 1/3 the size of the giant wolf, yet her momentum was in no way inferior. With both hands gripping the slanted titanium gun, she exerted force to directly stab through, but the age-desolate wolf quickly stabilized itself and reacted in an instant, twisting and swaying the body to fling the titanium gun away. Though the wound gushed blood, it was still better than being stabbed through, losing perception and power. Once freed, the desert wolf whimpered and screeched, exploding with astonishing ferocity in the face of a death crisis, and turned to bite at the humans in front. Chen Shanshan seemed prepared for this, gripping the titanium gun tightly to block, his fangs clashing with the age-desolate wolf's teeth, sparking a shower. In just 2 or 3 seconds, they went through attacks and counterattacks. At this point, Lin Feng, following behind Chen Shanshan, raised Ding Yi up and pushed him away, then raised a revolver in hand, the dark muzzle aimed at the wolf head. Seeing this, the age-desolate wolf showed a hint of fear. With its vast experience, it clearly understood the power of human firearms. Already severely injured, it knew it couldn't withstand such magic-like attacks. Immediately, it abandoned counterattack, using all its strength to spring and jump, escaping the scene. Watching its fleeing silhouette, Chen Shanshan didn't immediately pursue, as the opponent's running on 4 legs was far more agile amid the rubble chaos. Quickly sheathed the titanium gun, she pulled out an arrow from the quiver, drew the bow and aimed. Swish. 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 Within 3 seconds, she shot 3 arrows in quick succession. 2 precisely hit the desert wolf's hind legs. The arrowheads dipped in plant toxins pierced the wolf hide, letting the venom seep into the flesh. "Let's go, it won't run far." Confirming the 2 behind her were uninjured, Chen Shanshan spoke calmly, drawing her titanium gun and giving chase. Lin Feng then supported Ding Yi, whose legs were weak, following the captain's lead. Chen Shanshan picked up the arrows that had missed their mark and closely followed the blood trail. After covering 200 to 300 meters, the heavily injured desert wolf, suffering from severe blood loss and paralyzed by plant toxins, lost strength in its hind legs and fell. It was now in a near-death state. Whimpering painfully and letting out guttural cries. Due to extreme fear and loss of bodily control, it defecated and urinated uncontrollably, scattering waste everywhere. Chen Shanshan frowned, cautiously coming forward to deliver the final blow, the sharp gun head puncturing the throat, ceasing the poignant cries. "Be careful not to touch the blood and waste." Chen Shanshan warned sternly to Lin Feng and the others arriving, then grabbed some loose sand, applying it to the desert wolf's wounds to stop the blood from gushing. She then flipped it belly up, tied up the limbs in pairs, inserted the titanium gun between the legs and hoisted it over her shoulder. By the time they returned to the entrance with Lin Feng and the others, the desert wolf's blood had nearly drained dry. Chen Shanshan squeezed out any remaining liquid from the wolf's carcass and placed it onto the cart. Lin Feng and the others felt a rush of excitement subsiding along with the adrenaline, a strong sense of emptiness and fatigue surfacing. "There's no time to rest, they're coming soon." Chen Shanshan stuffed a handful of minced meat into her mouth and chugged several gulps of water, then quickly lifted the cart to leave. Lin Feng frowned slightly. "Wolf pack? So soon?" The captain nodded and pulled the cart. This desert wolf wasn't weak, it used to be at least leader level. Its wolf pack would undoubtedly be stronger. The whimpering howl before death and a spattered blood and waste along the way will serve as strong signal markers. "We must leave quickly, or if once bitten by the wolf pack, it'll be extremely difficult to escape." Lin Feng nodded and walked forward to take dried minced meat from the cart, distributing it to Ding Yi beside him. The 2 supported each other, following alongside the cart. Not far along, a series of wolf howls sounded behind them. The wailing sound, rising and falling, stretched endlessly. Everyone couldn't help but quicken their pace, even though they were exhausted and struggling to breathe, they didn't dare show the slightest slackness. After more than an hour, enduring the baking sun, they walked 5 kilometers, coupled with the retreat after hunting and killing the scavenger vulture, they managed to cover a large part of tomorrow's journey. The 3 leaned against the shadow of the rock, their feet numb from soreness. Chen Shanshan watched as a billowing cloud of dust rose in the distance, realizing they were only a dozen kilometers away from the main group, where a wolf pack usually wouldn't venture so close. She announced a rest. Lin Feng was panting heavily sitting on the ground, his earlier recovery of 2 life value points from minced meat and fresh water was used up again. Now only 10 points of life value remained, dropping further would affect the healing of the external injury on his right leg. Upon hearing the rest announcement, both he and Ding Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately, they took out water bottles and sipped delicately. Chen Shanshan rested for only 3 or 4 minutes, and after adjusting her breath, she promptly got up, took out a small knife, and began dissecting the wolf carcass. Fortunately, the advanced bloodletting prevented decay and deterioration, plus this desert wolf had evolved to the late stage, with strong immunity, its internal organs remained fresh. Digging out a pile of organs, Chen Shanshan selected a large heart, weighing about 3 pounds. Cutting it into 3 pieces, she passed it to the other 2, "Eat it while it's hot, it gets an unpleasant fishy taste when cold." Lin Feng looked at the raw meat in his hand and the young girl before him, Her mouth stained with blood, drinking and eating like an animal, suddenly felt a peculiar sense of absurdity. Creature, Desert Wolf, level 7 out of 9, deceased, attributes, life value, 0, physique, 35 out of 40, spirit, 8 out of 40, attribute limits, each level 7 attribute maximum, 40, evaluation, the Desert Wolf Pack are survival masters that have successfully reproduced. They are dedicated to slaughter and fiercely loyal to their group, making them extremely vengeful. Beware of retaliation. The hearts and hind leg meat of desert wolves are rich in nutrients, while steel teeth and iron claws are excellent biological materials. Only when Ding Yi, full of joy, accepted and gnawed on the desert wolf's heart did Lin Feng come back to his senses, placing the twitching heart muscle into his mouth. The raw meat, mingled with a faint rusty taste, was rich in nutrients and chewy. After finishing, Lin Feng also glanced at the desert wolf's description, feeling a gentle warm flow from the digestion in his abdomen spreading throughout his body. After a brief rest, with the steady increase of life value, the familiar sense of power returned to him. As his life value reached the upper limit of 15 points, with the help of the blood and flesh of a level 7 desert wolf, Lin Feng took a deep breath and gained another enhancement. Character, Lin Feng, level 3, attributes, life value, 19 out of 20, physique, 19 out of 20, spirit, 18 out of 20, attribute limits, each level 3 attribute maximum, 20, item upgrade upper limit raised to level 3, 1 life value point can be consumed to upgrade a level 2 quality revolver. A powerful sensation surged from within his body, reaching the initial upper limit of enhanced people, possessing a power of 300 kilograms, almost the limit of former Earth humans. Without hesitation, Lin Feng directly initiated yet another upgrade for his revolver. Then, he slowly stood up, heading towards the two women beside the cart, who were dissecting the desert wolf carcass. The captain was experienced, using just a small knife of over 10 centimeters, to cut the 2-meter-long giant wolf carcass into over a dozen pieces of differing sizes. A complete wolf hide was also stripped and handed to Ding Yi for deep processing, scraping off layers of grease, and tanning it. The whole process was orderly, with a kind of decompressing and enjoyable feeling of skillful butchering. But soon, Lin Feng perceived that the basketball-sized wolf head's upper and lower rows of sharp teeth actually glimmered with a metallic luster. At this moment, Chen Shanshan's dissection step reached the wolf head part. She used the back of the knife to jab and loosen the sharp wolf fangs one by one before introducing them to Lin Feng. This is the desert wolf's critical attack method. Their teeth, having mutated in the waste soil survival, fused with metal elements, hardness comparable to fine steel. Besides wolf meat, this is the most valuable thing on the desert wolf. The wolf's mouth contains 4 sharp canine teeth, the longest and most valuable. They can be exchanged for over 10 pounds of meat or precious medicinal materials. Oasis Town has specialized agencies for recycling them. Lin Feng accepted the molar wolf fang tossed by the captain, picked it up, and inspected it between his fingers. Ordinary fine steel wolf fang level 7, white quality can be merged into various metal products storing upgrades to enhance the item's strength and power. Note, single basic material cannot be upgraded. Seeing the system prompt, Lin Feng turned his gaze to his waist-held revolver. Chapter 8, Fusion, Level 3 Premium Revolver, Mutated Wolf Fang. The Level 2 Fine Revolver is currently undergoing upgrades, so it can't be integrated for the time being. Lin Feng put aside his experimental thoughts. Besides the wolf fangs, the wolf claws on its limbs are bluish-gray, with a metallic sheen. When touched with a blade, they make a crisp sound. Lin Feng recalled how the captain used the titanium gun when fighting the desert wolf, sparking a shower of sparks. It was likely due to the fierce collision between the two. Looking at the desert wolf's corpse, Lin Feng once again felt something absurd and bizarre. The powerful mutated creatures seemed to begin integrating with the harsh environment. The wasteland world before him now appeared eerie and grotesque, not as simple as he once thought. Don't overthink it, just work hard to survive, he told himself. Seeing Lin Feng lost in thought, Chen Shanshan handed over a dulled knife. Help optimize this, now that we don't lack food, she said. Lin Feng accepted the knife, observing the severely worn blade. Item name, ordinary dagger, white quality, ordinary level 1 dagger, description, a simple, unadorned dagger with a short blade. Lightweight and easy to wield, but lacks any special enhancements or finesse. Basic attributes, damage, 2, durability, 5 out of 10, upgrade method, 1 life value can be consumed for an upgrade, evaluation, this is a knife. Functional for basic self-defense or utility purposes, but not suited for serious combat. Gazing at the fine steel wolf fang in his other hand, Lin Feng opted to merge the two together. With the infusion of energy from his body, the wolf fang transformed into a white light and integrated into the knife. Item name, fine dagger, white quality, fine level 2 dagger, description, A finely crafted dagger with serrated wolf-fang blood grooves along the blade. Balanced for quick slashes and precise stabs, its edge is honed to a surgical keenness and the groove design prevents rapid wound closure. Basic attributes: damage, 5, durability, 10 out of 10, upgrade method, 1 life value can be consumed for an upgrade, new extra attribute, bleeding, each hit on the target causes an additional 1 point life value drop damage. Evaluation: the serrated wolf-fang grooves inhibit wound healing, making this dagger ideal for causing continuous bleeding and attrition in extended fights. Effective for stealth and close-quarters engagements, the upgraded fine dagger now had 2 additional blood grooves on either side of the blade, and the back of the blade was widened, with the addition of serrated wolf fangs. Handing the upgraded knife back to the captain, Lin Feng explained the special effects of infusing wolf fangs. Chen Shanshan nodded, understanding Lin Feng's intent. Some blacksmiths or small workshops also reclaim these biological materials to forge higher-quality weapons. Rest assured, I will reserve a part, but if urgent resources are needed, they'll have to be used for trade. We're in short supply of everything right now. With that, the captain wrapped the remaining 10 or so wolf fangs in burlap and stuffed them into a large sack under her cloak. Lin Feng agreed and helped flatten and dry the slabs of meat. After half an hour, with the concerted efforts of the 3, they finally finished organizing. Over 100 kilograms of desert wolf, 20 kilograms of organs, 30 kilograms of fur and bones, and 60 kilograms of carved meat remained. Sadly, most of it was lean meat, with little fat. Fat stores more energy, and when dried, tastes better and is more valuable than red meat. Ding Yi continued to work on the wolf hide, efficiently scraping slivers of precious white fat, without feeling tired. With this much meat, we can eat for over a month. Lin Feng nodded. Without intense physical activity, half a pound of meat could meet a day's needs. Combined with the sea buckthorn rhizome supplement, a month is not a problem. However, a significant portion would likely be used for trading to obtain other resources, like medicines, fresh water, and salt. Lin Feng leaned against the shadow's edge, exposing his upper body to the sun's scorching rays, hoping to tan quickly to blend in with the deserters and not draw attention. Ding Yi handed some white fat over. Apply this to prevent sunburn, or else the cracked skin will hurt when the wind blows. Taking the slivers of fat, Lin Feng rubbed them on his sun-reddened skin, finding it quite comforting. In another day, I'll be reddish-black, and then we can leave for that gathering. Ding Yi nodded. On Holy Spring Day, deserters from within a few dozen kilometers will attend the gathering. Oasis Town will also stop for a full day. If fast enough, I can finish the wolf hide before then, making leather armor or shoes, to exchange for more supplies. Lin Feng looked at his grass shoes, severely worn and blistered from long treks. Because of extreme fatigue and a dull pain in his injured right leg, it didn't feel as bad. Both he and Ding Yi wore grass shoes, while Chen Shanshan had old, worn-out sneakers, making running easier. Therefore, Lin Feng proposed, let's keep the leather shoes for ourselves. They're helpful for travel and hunting. Ding Yi looked to the captain. Chen Shanshan nodded. That's fine. We can trade the bones and organs of one desert wolf for plenty of supplies. The captain's agreement brought a joyful smile to Ding Yi's face. Suddenly, the room darkened before her eyes, and after consuming the wolf heart, the increased strength came with greater consumption, bringing on sudden hunger and anemia. She rose to the cart, selected some dried scavenger vulture organs, and prepared to eat a little to replenish energy. With her eyes closed, Chen Shanshan reminded, don't eat that stuff. It's toxic, and eating too much isn't good for your health, leading to problems. Why not eat good meat? Start with the wolf meat. Eat as little of the internal organs as possible, except the heart. You may not understand now, but you'll know later. Lin Feng squinted, watching Chen Shanshan. Captain, was your master an evolver before? Chen Shanshan nodded, her tone wistful. I was only 13 when I first awoke and was sold to the slave center. It was my master who saved me and helped me through the hardest initial years. Until one day, my master returned from the ruins exploration, dazed and soulless. When she ventured into the ruins again, she never returned. During that time, she told me that most animal organs on the wasteland are inedible. Their toxins affect not only the body but also the spirit, hindering future revolutionary awakening. Saying this, Chen Shanshan instructed the two of them to take turns on watch, lay down on the ground, clutching her steel rod, and drifted into a deep sleep. Lin Feng was somewhat surprised, not expecting that the captain who had been surviving in the harsh wasteland for nearly 6 years was just barely an adult. A 12-year-old child entering the wasteland, surviving until now, speaks volumes of the hardships endured. Lin Feng then glanced at Ding Yi. The latter sliced off a piece of wolf meat, putting it in her mouth, mumbling softly, "Don't look at me, I'm already 28. After a short rest, Ding Yi continued working on the wolf hide. Lin Feng picked up the revolver, upgraded to, item name, fine revolver, white quality, fine level 3 revolver, description, a finely optimized revolver tuned for accuracy and stopping power. Sleek frame, precision rifling, and balanced recoil make it a premier sidearm among revolvers. Basic attributes, damage, 10, effective range, 100 meters, remaining bullets, 6 out of 6, upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit, extra attributes, recover 1 bullet per second, evaluation, a top-tier revolver capable of killing with a single well-placed shot. Damage doubles on vital hits. Highly intimidating and effective for deterrence and precision engagements. After reading the description, Lin Feng examined the revolver in his hand. At this moment, its barrel was lengthened, the caliber increased, its surface glowed with a silver sheen, the silver-black gun body very distinctive. It looks a bit like a youthful version of an M500 revolver. With a damage score of 10, it can kill an early-stage enhanced human in 1 shot, and 2 shots for a mid-stage one. Even the captain probably can't withstand 4 shots. And the bullet recovery increased to 1 per second. The only pity is the bullet capacity didn't change, but maintaining a low firing rate could barely achieve infinite bullets. With the revolver upgraded, Lin Feng's inner sense of security increased. With a gun in hand, sleep comes easy. Seeing Ding Yi still processing and cutting wolf hide, Lin Feng, exhausted from the day, soon drifted off to sleep. When he woke again, 4 hours had passed. A rustling sound continually came from nearby. At this moment, the one on guard duty was the captain, and after completing a pair of wolf-hide shoes, Ding Yi also slept. Chen Shanshan was sharpening arrowheads on a hard stone. Lin Feng got up and approached, seeing the arrowheads were dull and needed refridging. He spoke up, "No need for the hassle, you can add wolf fangs, just enhance them directly." Chen Shanshan looked at the arrows, nodded, "Sure, you give it a try." Saying that, she retrieved a pouch from her cloak and laid the wolf fangs before the man. Lin Feng counted, a total of 23, among which 4 were large canines, nearly 10 centimeters long. Exposed length was 6 or 7 centimeters, capable of easily ripping the throat of prey. High-quality steel wolf fang level 8, white quality can be integrated into various metal items during upgrades, enhancing item strength and potency. Indeed, the canine's level was higher, probably offering better enhancement effects once integrated. While examining the canines, one of the 4 caught Lin Feng's attention. It was a fully metallized canine at the root, with remaining nerve fibers inside seemingly still twitching. Lin Feng carefully pinched it up for a closer look. Mutated steel wolf fang level 9, white quality possesses certain bioactivity, can be implanted into the body to enhance physical strength, has mysterious unknown mental effects, easily causing unforeseeable consequences. Reading the description, Lin Feng silently placed it back, ultimately selecting several ordinary steel wolf fangs to integrate into the horn bow upgrade. Consuming 1 life value, upgraded to level 3 fine horn bow, item name, fine horn bow, white quality, fine level 3 horn bow, description, a massive horn bow forged for titanic strength and long-range dominance. Its limbs are carved from hardened beast horn and strung with braided sinew, built to launch wolf fang arrows with devastating penetration. Basic attributes, damage, 15, durability, 10 out of 10, effective range, 200 meters, remaining wolf fang arrows, 5, upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit, extra attributes, tongue-piercing fang, wolf fang arrowheads gain +5 penetration damage on hit, usage notes. Requires over 400 kilograms of strength to use proficiently. Not recommended for novices. Evaluation, a heavy-hitting long-range weapon intended for immense strength users. Exceptional penetration makes it ideal against heavily armored or fortress targets, handed the fine horn bow to Chen Shanshan. She was delighted upon seeing the reinforced and hardened silver arrowheads, immediately testing it on a wolf leg. 100 meters away, it pierced through over 20 centimeters thick wolf leg flesh, even penetrating the wooden board behind it. With a total of 20 damage, the power was evident. Soon Ding Yi woke up after resting. Afterward, the group traveled another 12 kilometers, always skirting the edge of a larger group. While avoiding wolf packs, they also steered clear of other deserter teams. 24 hours later, Lin Feng, now sunburnt like a red-skinned duck, had integrated into the Wasteland world. The trio packed the dried wolf meat, dragging a cart as they approached the gradually halting oasis town. The Grand Holy Spring Gathering was about to commence. Chapter 9, Oasis Town, Holy Spring Gathering, Motel. The distant swirling dust gradually dissipated. As the group of 3 got closer to their destination, the wide road filled with tire tracks gradually revealed other deserted village squads. Each kept more than 100 meters apart, wary of each other. Lin Feng finished the last sip from the bottle, observing those deserters draped in burlap hoods. Their condition was not good, with most of their figures hunched, bent at the waist, struggling to move forward. Like those devoted monks on a pilgrimage. The deserter teams walking in the middle of the road, the most level place, were in much better condition, not only dressed cleanly, but also moving with stable and vigorous steps. These teams were extremely strong, mostly led by several late-stage enhanced people, like the top-notch Desert Village Squad Liu that Lin Feng's group encountered earlier. Above them were the desert hunting squads formed by the evolvers permanently residing in Oasis Town. And Lin Feng and his two companions walked on the edge of the roadway. Under the control of the leading captain, they maintained an even pace, neither fast nor slow. The chunks of meat and wolf hides on the cart were covered with burlap, not attracting attention. Thus, they journeyed over 10 kilometers and finally reached the outskirts of the main force. It was only at this moment that Lin Feng finally saw relics of old-world civilization, rows of old, rusty cars. Cars of various sizes and models formed a circle. They created an arc several hundred meters in diameter. Lin Feng roughly estimated that there were over 100 cars in the outer ring alone. A layer of black covering was on top, not very clear to see. Inside, the camp also housed many small trucks and modified RVs, and from time to time came the sound of banging. Unlike the deserters nearby, those who lived in the cars, although their faces were equally sallow, were full of spirit, lacking the lingering weariness that haunted the deserters. After all, they didn't need to walk on two legs and could get a full rest every day. Lin Feng looked at a fellow lying on a car seat, legs crossed up, also thinking of some rest. Sleeping along the journey on heaps of stones, his body was marked with red welts from the rocky pressure. Thus, the deserter's quality of sleep was always poor, only collapsing into slumber from utter exhaustion. Keeping a wide berth from the convoy, the group followed the deserters' team, entering the center of Oasis Town. The previous convoy they passed formed a circle 500 meters in diameter, with strict order surrounding it. That convoy follows the moving oasis and is one of the villages under Oasis Town. Ding Yi spoke, quietly introducing to Lin Feng. Chen Shan, pulling the cart, looked back. They are forging various iron tools and should be Mechanical Village, one of Oasis Town's 4 major villages. Besides it, there are 3 other villages, Holy Spring, Farm, and Dawn. The 4 major villages respectively control weapons, water sources, food, and energy. Among them, Holy Spring Village represents the church, while the other 3 villages are under the 3 major clans on the oasis. These are the official forces of Oasis Town. Approximately over 10,000 people live among them. Besides these, there's our destination for this trip, 5th Village, formed by a large number of free evolvers. Saying that, Chen Shanshan stopped, and what caught her eyes was a mixed gathering of camps. It was the 5th village she spoke of, the rest stop for all deserters on this journey. Unlike the orderly Mechanical Village just now, 5th village was utterly chaotic, with many deserters lying directly on the ground or setting up tents, filled with quarrels, curses, and shouts. Many groups sat on the ground, chewing on sandalwood grass roots, their gazes scanning the passing deserter teams, searching for the supplies they carried, showing greedy expressions at the sight of food. No hot weapons are allowed inside the village, Lin Feng, keep your revolver well. Chen Shanshan reminded softly, then continued deeper into the 5th village, don't stay on the outskirts. The bottom-tier deserters here are extremely ferocious and addicted to stealing. They won't have the supplies we need. Go rest in the car convoy inside, where top-notch deserter teams are stationed, with abundant resources. Lin Feng and his companion nodded and followed. Crossing several hundred meters of deserter heaps, they saw a camp formed by a circle of cars, similar to the Mechanical Village they passed earlier, with security guarding the entrance. Chen Shanshan went forward with ease, taking a cut of ribs from under the cart's burlap and handed it to the entrance guard, acquiring passage. The trading inside is overseen and protected. The permanent residents of 5th village also live here. Listening to the captain's introduction, Lin Feng glanced around. It was his first time witnessing such a close-up interaction with human civilization evolved from wastelands. It felt like being in a strange other world. The cars were lined with a layer of black armor. Previously, it was too far to see clearly in the Mechanical Village. Now up close, they turned out to be solar photovoltaic panels. Lin Feng was a bit surprised, but on reflection, found it reasonable. In a world of eternal daylight with no night, the only free and infinite energy source is the blazing sun above. Lin Feng had previously wondered how such a large caravan, with over 500 vehicles in a single village and over 3,000 residents, managed to solve the problem of fuel consumption on their journey. Now it seems that the entire Oasis town is powered by solar energy. No wonder the village that controls the energy is named Dawn. The products of Dawn Village are photovoltaic panels and electric motors. It's likely that most of the survivor settlements on the wasteland follow a similar model. Upon entering the 5th village camp, Lin Feng immediately spotted the motor Ding Yi had been going on about. A moving hotel converted from a bus was parked next to the entrance. The roof was covered with a large circle of solar panels, which also provided shade. The bus had 2 floors. The lower floor was a shared sleeping area, costing only half a pound of jerky for 8 hours of rest. The upper floor had individual small compartments, like a capsule hotel, divided by metal sheets, and the price was double. The hotel also provided each person with 2 liters of free water and power supply, allowing them to cook food. The sign hanging under the solar panels listed not only the accommodation price but also the ticket cost for departing Oasis Town, which required only 2 ounces of jerky per day, with a 15% discount for a monthly pass. Beneath the sign stood a wooden board, with job listings and requirements written on it in charcoal. Already, many deserters hoping to try their luck were heading to the driver's cabin to find the hotel owner. This was Lin Feng's first glimpse into the culture of Wasteland life, making him feel incredibly curious, yet concerned about exposing his rookie status, so he glanced sidelong, observing covertly. Beside him, Ding Yi was also entering the village for the first time. Previously, due to the team's scarce resources, they could only sit on the ground like outside deserters, while the captain and vice-captain entered the 5th village to exchange for necessary supplies. The 2 of them looked around, stealing glances everywhere. They even saw a mobile bar and a bathhouse. Only Chen Shanshan was familiar with the place, leading the 2 of them straight to the outskirts of the 5th village, parking the cart in front of a small bus. This was also a motor inn, located in a secluded spot. However, the owner was evidently acquainted with the captain. The middle-aged man, shaving in front of an old-style round mirror with a red plastic frame, wore beach shorts, and his feet were in worn-out flip-flops. The man, surnamed Huang, owned the small bus. Boss Huang glanced at Chen Shanshan, the cart behind her, and Lin Feng and Ding Yi. Not bad, you just have these 2 rookies left? Chen Shanshan nodded. Open for half a day, 3 bunks. Boss Huang put down his razor, 1 pound of jerky. Chen Shanshan immediately took 2 strips of jerky from the pile of meat on the cart, weighed them in her hand, and handed them to the innkeeper. There's a bit extra, but it's not fully dehydrated yet. Old Huang took the jerky, sniffed it under his nose, and showed a look of surprise. You actually killed a desert wolf. Wolf meat is a rare and hearty delicacy, not bad, even if it's not completely dry. Saying this, he put down a razor and proactively opened the door of the small bus, which could carry only 30 people, welcoming the 3 on board, while reminding them with a smile, as for free news, Chi Mountain came by a few days ago, sold some of his men to the slave market, and is currently staying in the north of the village, trying to connect with the evolvers. Chen Shanshan nodded and replied with a thank you. Lin Feng and Ding Yi carried the wolf meat wrapped in burlap, following the captain onto the bus. The original seats of the small bus had been removed, converted into long compartments on the left and right sides, with 4 on each side, totaling 8. The conditions were far inferior to the bus at the entrance. The compartments were separated by wooden boards, each sleeper 2 meters long, 70 centimeters wide, divided into upper, middle, and lower levels, with only 80 centimeters of headroom on each level, allowing for sitting in a crouched position. Similar to the hard sleepers on a greenskin train. The 3 of them just fitting into a single compartment. At the head of the bed was a small electric fan that could blow a slight breeze, and thanks to the solar panels providing shade on the roof, the interior wasn't hot. An exhaust fan in the back made it cooler than outside. With outside temperatures nearing 50 degrees, the shade from the solar panels made it just over 40 inside, and with the bed fan, it brought the temperature to something near normal. Previously, Lin Feng wouldn't have been able to sleep, but in the wasteland scorched by the blazing sun, 36 or 37 degrees felt comfortable. After washing her face outside, Chen Shanshan came back, bringing 2 bottles of water to Lin Feng and Ding Yi, and said, most deserter teams won't arrive for a few hours, let's rest and get some good sleep first. We can join the gathering later. Lin Feng and Ding Yi nodded, split the wolf meat into 3 parts, held it in their arms, and fell into a deep sleep. A few hours later, the captain woke them. Wake up, it's time to eat. Old Huang made delicious pan-fried wolf meat. Once we finish eating, we need to get down to business. Chapter 10, Trade, Slave Market. Lin Feng Level 4. Lin Feng yawned and slowly woke up. This was the most comfortable sleep he'd had since awakening on the wasteland. Glancing at the old-style clock hanging from the dashboard, it was only noon. He'd only slept for a mere 4 or 5 hours, yet it wiped away the accumulated mental fatigue. Even the injury on his right leg was nearly fully healed. Sleep is the best way to restore state, although it's also related to his increased strength. The higher the enhancement level, the stronger the self-healing ability. Ding Yi, lying on the middle bunk, also woke up. The 2 followed the captain out of the vehicle, seeing under the bus's photovoltaic panel, Boss Huang with slick back hair and sunglasses, using the car battery to power an electric stove, cooking a meal. The sizzling sound of frying wolf meat filled the air. The aroma of meat was everywhere. A folding table and 4 stools were already set up beside them, feeling like a wilderness camping trip. With the fragrant fried wolf meat out of the pan, divided into 4 plates, it was served on the table. The sumptuous lunch feast officially began. Enjoy the master-level craftsmanship. For this wolf meat, I added the most precious cumin seasoning. Boss Huang clasped his hands together in a gesture of gratitude, then eagerly picked up a knife and fork to start tasting. The other 3 seated people also began to try it. The barbecued flavor combined with the medium-rare wolf meat, the seasoning excellently masked the gamey taste, making the texture and flavor exceptional. Each person had a pound of meat on their plate, which was extra provided by Chen Shanshan, while Boss Huang's share was considered the processing fee. For this meal, the bus owner also specially provided each person a cup of sea buckthorn wine with a Wasteland flavor. This is a farm specialty, made with quality sea buckthorn fruit and grassroot juice, naturally fermented. The price of a liter of sea buckthorn wine is half a pound of jerky. It's rare to come across desert wolf meat, so it's a bargain for you. Boss Huang raised his glass and continued to celebrate. Come, let's toast to this damned world. Everyone raised their glasses and clinked them together. Lin Feng tasted the light, sweet and sour orange wine. It had a low alcohol content and a rich fruity aroma. The vitamin C content in sea buckthorn fruit is 25 times that of lemons, known as the king of vitamin C, and it's in demand in the wasteland too. Ding Yi introduced the juice material. Lin Feng recalled seeing deserters initially, whose long-term malnutrition led to black teeth and bleeding gums. Perhaps this was related. After finishing a cup of sea buckthorn wine, they were full and satisfied. A gentle warmth spread throughout the body from the stomach. Lin Feng glanced at the attribute panel in the corner of his eye. Both life value and physique were nearing the upper limit of 20. He estimated that the next enhancement upgrade wouldn't be far off. Chen Shanshan wiped her mouth, put her mask down, and slowly got up, ready to set off. To avoid attracting attention, the 3 discussed and decided that Ding Yi would stay behind to guard the home, while also taking care of the 40 pounds of wolf meat in the compartment. The remaining 2 took the rest of the wolf meat and innards for trading and headed to the central market of the 5th village. Once dried, the wolf meat shrank by more than half. The original 60 kilograms were only a little over 60 pounds. Chen Shanshan took 20 pounds of it, along with 20 pounds of innards and a batch of wolf bone. Not long after leaving the bus, Lin Feng asked why Ding Yi was left to guard the important wolf meat supplies, worrying about unforeseen events. Chen Shanshan shrugged. You can run away, but the temple can't. Besides, a motorhome is worth much more than a few pounds of wolf meat. Old Huang is a registered villager of the 5th village with an official identity, and with the strength of a late-stage enhanced person, no one dares to make a move. Official villagers can brandish guns, unlike us outsiders. Lin Feng nodded silently. After having a meal, he also noticed that the standard of living among the convoy residents was much better than that of the deserters behind them. No wonder so many deserters racked their brains trying to squeeze in. After experiencing the convoy's lifestyle, who would want to continue wandering in the barren and dangerous wilderness? Based on what he saw and heard in the 5th village, Oasis Town's resources weren't actually scarce, at least there wasn't a lack of water. With water and solar energy, it's basically got everything. Luxury to the point of using grain to brew alcohol, established bathhouses, the abundance of materials, enough to support thousands of deserters. But they didn't do so. Lin Feng looked up, gazing a kilometer away at a steel giant beast tens of meters high, with lush greenery, quietly parked and standing in the wilderness. That is the moving oasis, the core of Oasis Town. The place where the upper class resides, the true paradise of the wasteland, and the unsurpassed existence that thousands of vehicles closely follow and tens of thousands of deserters look up to. They are the architects of the wasteland order. Lin Feng licked his lips, wondering when he would have the qualification to board this steel giant beast. However, for now, it's better to find a way to settle en route in the convoy following it, escaping the hardships of constant running around. Following Chen Shanshan all the way, they entered the central area of the 5th village, encountering many small car shops selling all sorts of goods. From food and water sources to daily home supplies, it felt like a traditional market day, or much like a wholesale market. Due to the inconvenience of carrying the hundreds of pounds of jerky and bones in the hands of the 2, Chen Shanshan headed straight to a clothing store, and exchanged half a pound of wolf meat for 2 large woven bags. They packed the supplies into them before continuing their trading. Isn't it troublesome to barter and haggle without a unified currency here? Seeing the bustling market with people moving back and forth, all carrying bags or pulling carts, Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Chen Shanshan had already locked onto her target and explained, that's because most of the deserters live day by day, and money is a burden in their hands. Food and water are more practical. Jerky is the hard currency here. In short, The scale of the market's commodity economy is insufficient to support the issuance and circulation of currency. Lin Feng nodded and continued following her. The captain, now in shopping mode, transformed from her usual silent and reserved self in the wilderness, into a talkative person, and was relentless in bargaining. In the end, she spent 10 pounds of wolf meat and 10 pounds of innards to exchange for a pile of things, including cakes baked from plant roots, a water filter, and an iron water bucket containing 200 liters of water. Enough for 3 people to consume solidly on the wasteland for a month. And Holy Spring Day is when fresh water is cheapest. Besides, what surprised Lin Feng the most was that the captain also exchanged for a solar cooker. It's actually just a light-gathering mirror of 1 meter in diameter, with a reflective metal film attached to the concave side, capable of forming a focal point on an iron stand. Placing an iron kettle allows for boiling water, and an iron pot can steam or cook. Just a bit slow, needing a couple of hours. Not as straightforward or convenient as having a car battery. But it excels in its simple structure, not prone to aging or damage. Bringing this along has made hunting on the wilderness a bit more convenient, no longer living a life as a wild savage. After buying most of the living materials, the two carried their goods to the end of the market. Suddenly, Lin Feng smelled an inappropriate stench. The smell of urine and feces, although not strong, was quite abrupt in a relatively clean market. Following the direction the smell came from, the scene before him left him dumbfounded. He saw countless ragged men imprisoned in rusty iron cages, while outside the cages were women in handcuffs and shackles, similarly languished and scantily clad. This is the slave market, the third largest business in the wasteland besides food and fresh water. Chen Shenshan's voice came from beside him. Having been accustomed to it, she was once part of it. Don't look. Slaves from this kind of place are only bought by convoys or large households in villages to be exploited to death, with no combat capabilities. Saying this, Chen Shenshan found a vacant space by the slave market, laid out the remaining innards and wolf bones from the bag, along with 18 spare fine steel wolf fangs on the burlap. You guard here. If someone wants them, sell them. I'm going to trade for other supplies. Medicines need to be at specific places. I'll push the cart here after buying. Wolf fangs can be sold at a higher price, and for these, setting the price more expensive than 20 pounds of jerky would be fine. Lin Feng nodded and sat in front of the stall. These items are actually purchased by the authorities too, but they will only offer the minimum base price. If no one else buys, they consider the Hunting Wilderness Guild. Captain. Captain Chen. At this time, several very weak calls came from the iron cage not far away. Lin Feng looked up and saw several familiar faces. However, compared to their previously emaciated selves, these former team members who left with Chi Mountain are now tortured beyond recognition. Sunken eyes, protruding cheekbones, haggard appearance. Chen Shenshan didn't even glance at them. She picked up the remaining 10 pounds of jerky and walked away without a word. Lin Feng watched her leave, then turned with a cold sneer, took out the wolf jerky he kept in his pocket, stuffed it into his mouth, and drank water heartily. This jerky is from the hind leg of a desert wolf, rich in nutrition, capable of enhancing one's enhancement level. As he devoured jerky and drank water extensively, those former team members in the iron cage watched, eyes bulging with envy and jealousy, blood vessels standing out, shaking the rusty bars. The slave master beside immediately scolded and wielded a whip. Lin Feng carefully scanned around, noticing that Chi Mountain's lackeys, including the woman who played double act with him, were not among them. They were all potential threats. Soon after, with the digestion of the wolf meat in his stomach, a very comfortable warm flow spread throughout his entire body. Lin Feng completed his upgrade, advancing to a level 4 mid-stage enhanced human. Lin Feng, level 4 out of 9, life value 24, physique, 24, spirit, 23, level 4 attribute upper limit 25, item upgrade upper limit has increased to level 4, can consume 1 point life value to upgrade level 3 fine revolver, can consume 1 point life value to upgrade level 1 water filter, can consume 1 point life value to upgrade level 1 solar cooker. However, before Lin Feng could finish looking, 2 figures stopped in front of the stall. Are these iron teeth wolf fangs? Chapter 11, Priest, Modified Tricycle. Chi Mountain. Lin Feng was momentarily stunned, then slowly raised his head. Standing before him was a man and a woman. Their attire was relatively clean, and their faces were somewhat spirited, but they seemed a bit tense. He had just advanced to become a mid-stage enhanced human and felt that their aura was similar to his, with the man even slightly stronger. A mid-stage and late-stage enhanced human belonged to the upper middle class among the deserters. Lin Feng quickly made a judgment and revealed a smile. That's right, and it's a powerful late-stage desolate wolf. These 18 metallized wolf teeth are extremely hard, capable of easily crushing rocks. Normally, one would be worth 2 pounds of dried meat, and 4 canine teeth, 5 pounds of dried meat. Watching the shop owner glibly open his mouth wide and price a dozen wolf teeth at nearly 50 pounds of dried meat, the couple standing there looked troubled. Lin Feng noticed that their cloth bags didn't seem substantial, so he pointed to other merchandise. Would you like to look at the dried internal organs? The wolf liver and wolf kidneys are nutritious treasures, rich in nutrients and high in fat and calories. I'll sell them to you a little cheaper, 10 pounds of dried meat plus 10 liters of water. Or these wolf bones, which can be eaten or used. Scoop out the marrow inside to make a container, they are stronger and more useful than wooden sticks. Alright, I'll take a bit of a loss, take these 30 pounds of wolf bones for just 5 pounds of dried meat. Lin Feng tried hard to market his goods, figuring that anything sold was a win. The man hesitated a bit, took the bag from his female companion, looked around cautiously, and opened it. Lin Feng craned his neck, curious to take a peek. Inside was a mass of bloody soft tissue, its wrinkled surface covered in mucus, looking somewhat unappealing. Internal organs? We don't accept internal organs. Lin Feng flatly refused. The couple was about to explain softly when another figure approached from not far away. It was a middle-aged man in a long black robe, with a burly build, nearly 2 meters tall. Upon his appearance, the couple was frightened, hurriedly put away their bag, and fled in panic. Lin Feng slowly looked up. The middle-aged man blocked out most of the sunlight, casting a shadow over his face, making it impossible to see his features clearly. Having been engrossed in describing his goods, Lin Feng hadn't noticed where this person had emerged from. However, he did recognize the emblem hanging from the man's chest. It was a smaller version of a manhole cover, with a Chinese character for water embossed on it. This was the emblem of the Holy Spring sect, resembling old-world sewer manhole covers. Many such marks were present at the 5th village camp. The minibus they had checked into at noon bore this stamp, and the owner had performed a brief prayer before eating. Yet Lin Feng had not seen anyone wearing the emblem around their neck, and the crafting of this badge was exquisitely detailed, made from a special silver material. The middle-aged man in the black robe was likely closely related to the Holy Spring sect, perhaps even a member of the clergy. This thought made Lin Feng's heart tense. The man exuded an extraordinary aura just by standing there, and Lin Feng couldn't even sense his presence. He was either as weak as a regular person or ridiculously strong, already far surpassing Lin Feng. He was obviously the latter. After swallowing a gulp, Lin Feng spoke politely, "Is there something you need?" Gazing at the desert wolf fragments on the stall, the middle-aged priest looked at the stall owner and pointed towards the fine steel wolf fang at Lin Feng's feet. 50 pounds of wolf meat? Lin Feng squinted slightly, realizing the man before him knew his goods well, as his fingertip was precisely aimed at the mutated dog tooth among the 18 wolf teeth, with a very clear goal. His chance to seize a fortune was now. Without hesitation, Lin Feng slowly spoke, "The wolf teeth are not sold individually. If you want it, you have to take it all. They all come from one desolate wolf. Maybe you'll find other things you want among the wolf bones and internal organs." The priest, nearly 2 meters tall, looked down at the anxious man before him and nodded thoughtfully. "You're not wrong. I can recruit you into the church. You won't have to wander the wasteland anymore. You'd have a place in Holy Spring Village." Hearing the generous offer, Lin Feng was tempted but realized the man's clergy identity, feeling it was wiser to keep a distance from the church. After all, he hadn't even tanned his back yet. Seeing the young stall owner shake his head, the priest's eyes glinted. "Your aura is unstable. You should have just become a mid-stage enhanced human. I can give you 3 enhancing potions to advance directly to a late-stage level 7. This offer nearly touched Lin Feng's heart. After all, waking up from the wasteland, the fear and unease of death have always loomed over Lin Feng's mind, and the best way to dispel them is through the growth of his own strength. Father saw the stall owner showing interest, already reaching under his black robe to take out an enhancing potion. "Wait." At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly spoke, interrupting the deal, with a slightly ferocious expression. After a struggle of inner conflict, shook his head and offered another condition. "A condition beneficial to the team. I want to trade for a vehicle, as long as it's made of iron. Even an ordinary tricycle will do." The original broken cart was so worn that it didn't even have tires, making it very laborious to drag, and it couldn't carry so many supplies. The cart had become the biggest shortcoming of the team. The key is that thing's level is not low. Lin Feng can only consume his life value to repair its durability but cannot upgrade it. Although 3 enhancing potions were very tempting, Lin Feng knew that the credit for hunting this desert wolf, 40% goes to Ding Yi for bravely acting as bait, and 40% to the captain for directly killing it. He did not fire a single shot, only repaired and upgraded weapons. The most 2 credits could be attributed to him. Playing a logistical support role. If 3 enhancing potions were exchanged, the best allocation would be 1 for each of the 3. Lin Feng could take them all for himself, but he asked himself, he wasn't that kind of person. Besides, There was no need to turn against the two women. So overall, being able to trade for a more convenient and faster means of transportation was the most cost-effective. Hearing Lin Feng's request, the tall, black-robed father smiled faintly, unbothered by Lin Feng's sudden interruption of the transaction. "No problem, you wait here, I'll arrange for someone to bring the car over." Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief, glad he hadn't encountered a hot-tempered father, but when he saw the fine steel wolf fang at his feet, he suddenly realized Anishuan had to brace himself and say, can I keep a few of these 18 wolf fangs? Not these 4 dog teeth, just the ordinary wolf fangs." Saying this, he proactively handed over the 4 wolf fangs, especially the one special mutated wolf fang. Father furrowed his brows slightly but still accepted the fangs and nodded. At this point, the transaction by the slave market had already drawn many eyes, and a large crowd was gathered nearby to watch. Evidently, they weren't attracted by Lin Feng or the items for trade, but the person who bought the wolf meat. It was the chief of Holy Spring Village, the well-known Suan, Father Su. The unfamiliar face trading with him seemed unaware of the true identity of the black-robed father. Not long after, 2 servants in gray hemp clothes pushed a tricycle over. Suan spoke mildly, introducing the condition of the car. "It's been sitting in the warehouse for a few years, just needs some oil. Later on, you can go to Mechanical Village and fit it with a motor to make it an electric tricycle." Saying that, he arranged for 2 servants to take all the things off the stall and then he turned and left. Lin Feng looked at the slightly rusted tricycle in front of him, eyes shining. Its cargo compartment had been modified, measuring 2.5 meters long, 1.5 meters wide, with nearly 4 square meters of space, and both side panels were detachable and, when erected, were 1 meter high. It's quite similar to a delivery electric tricycle. A canopy could be added to the cargo compartment, making it usable as a mobile tent. Lin Feng then moved all the materials from behind the stall into the tricycle's compartment, putting in a large tub of water, a solar stove, and other supplies, which occupied less than a square meter of space. There's still room to lie 2 people down. This transaction was really worthwhile. Soon after, Chen Shanshan, who had returned from purchasing supplies, saw this scene from afar, understood the situation, and was equally overjoyed. Pushing the cart behind them, directing Lin Feng to ride the tricycle back to the minibus. After they left, the crowd gradually dispersed. Among them, a few slightly familiar faces, with sinister expressions, watched Lin Feng and the other 2's departing figures as they moved towards the north of the village. At this time, outside the quiet Evolver camp in the north of the village, Qi Mountain and Tian Wanarong sat beside an automotive motel, discussing strategies. Upon hearing the content reported by a younger member, Qi was taken aback but quickly smirked. "Very good, I didn't expect them to actually kill a desert wolf, also saves us the effort of going after her. Now we need a gift that an Evolver would appreciate. That unknown steel rod in Chen Shanshan's hands is incredibly hard, could be some special metal. If we can seize it and offer it to the Evolver boss, surely we could catch his attention and become confidants traveling with him." Saying this, he looked at the 4 subordinates remaining before him. "You only saw 2 people? They must have used that fool Ding Yi as bait. Even so, killing a desert wolf couldn't have been without a scratch. Once Holy Spring Day is over, as soon as they leave the village, tail them and wait for the opportunity to act. The wolf pack won't let them off easily." Understood. Chapter 12, Liu Family Siblings, Invitation, Level 4 Magazine. Pistol riding a tricycle, they returned to the minibus. The innkeeper, Boss Huang, was on an A-frame ladder, cleaning the dusty solar panels on the roof. Chen Shanshan found several ropes with hooks and securely tied the supplies on the vehicle, locking them to the side of the bus along with the tricycle. Then she linked a broken cart to the tail of the tricycle, ready to follow Lin Feng's suggestion by buying some burlap, to set up a shaded carriage roof, and get a 2 square meter soft pad so that they can rest well in the wild. Lin Feng boarded the bus and entered the compartment, asking Ding Yi to go outside and take a breath, and also check out the new vehicle. Meanwhile, he pulled out the fine revolver from his waist, integrated 6 ordinary fine steel wolf fangs, consuming a bit of life value, and initiated the level 4 upgrade of the revolver. Suddenly, a commotion came from outside the room. Chen Shanshan noticed someone tailing them and was already taking action to capture them. Lin Feng locked the revolver's safety, slipped it into his pocket, and quickly got up to head to the door. He found Chen Shanshan wielding a titanium rod, forcing into the corner the same couple who had previously asked about the pricing. He quickly stepped forward to inquire about the situation. Chen Shanshan began to speak. "They've been following us all the way here, I've noticed long ago, definitely up to no good." The man nervously responded, "No, we mean no harm. You're that vendor, we've been to your stall." Chen Shanshan turned away, and Lin Feng explained that they had previously inquired about wolf fangs. But this didn't dispel the misunderstanding. Chen Shanshan's gaze remained cold, That proves nothing. All parts of the desert wolf have been sold, you have no reason to continue following us. The man, staring at the rod tip already pressed against his throat, glanced towards Boss Huang, the owner of the place by the bus nearby, watching with interest and showing no intention of intervening. Swallowing hard, he then spoke, We want to invite you to join us, to hunt a. The man gradually lowered his voice, rock-horned horse. Chen Shanshan furrowed her brow, clearly skeptical. Ordinary rock-horned horses only have mid-stage enhancement strength. You're both one mid-stage and one late-stage enhanced. Why need to invite others? The man's face flushed red, stammering, No, it's not an ordinary rock-horned horse, it's a level 9 late-stage rock-horned horse, and it's currently in a very weak state. The best time to hunt it. Chen Shanshan remained doubtful of this story. If true, how did you discover it? Why come to us for collaboration? Then, the woman who had been protected behind the man spoke softly to help explain. On our way here, we heard some faint cries, discovering a hidden cave containing a female rock-horned horse in difficult labor. Unfortunately, it gave birth to a stillborn. After consuming the stillborn, the rock-horned horse cautiously left. Chen Shanshan squinted slightly. One side of the story, what's the proof? At this moment, Lin Feng, standing behind her, had already realized what happened, looking towards the cloth bag the woman revealed. A bloody scent wafted from it. This is part of the placenta left in the cave. It's less than 2 hours old, very fresh. Chen Shanshan leaned in for a closer look. Indeed, as the woman said, the fibrous and mucus-covered structure was very fresh. Its appearance time wouldn't exceed 3 hours. Sufficient enough to prove the woman's words weren't false. Yet, the experienced Chen Shanshan couldn't easily dispel the doubts in her heart. Why choose us? You could handle the rock-horned horse alone or share this information with any top-tier deserters team for a reward. The woman then seriously replied, Because you're strong, able to hunt desert wolves, most importantly, you don't lack food and have fewer people. Even a weakened level 9 rock-horned horse is not something we can kill, and collaborating with other strong deserters teams only leaves us with leftovers and risks of being ambushed. Collaborate and split half each, how about it? Finally, Chen Shanshan lowered the titanium gun, looking at the two. I'm Chen Shanshan, Captain, the vendor is Lin Feng, she's Ding Yi, we are 3 people. The man breathed a sigh of relief, following suit with his self-introduction. I'm Liu Mingfei, level 7 enhanced person. She's Liu Qian, level 4 enhanced person. Chen Shanshan observed the 2 similar-looking individuals, siblings. Liu Mingfei nodded and gave a wry smile. Correct, we were brought out together. I'm 30 years old, used to drive taxis. My sister is 26, studied accounting. We've survived over a year in the Wasteland. Initially, having no particular skills, no one wanted us, eventually becoming deserters. Then directly admitted, the previous team we joined disbanded. This time we stumbled upon this opportunity but lacked the strength, so we wandered around the market trying to find suitable cooperation partners. Survivors appear in underground ruins and are prioritized for initial selection by front row villages after discovery. Those with professional skills like repair technicians, doctors, nurses, or farmers with the ability to cultivate, are absorbed and taken away. Teachers like Ding Yi, or drivers and accountants like the Liu family siblings, without any useful skills, would be ruthlessly abandoned, left to fend for themselves in the wasteland. As for those who were previously late-stage enhanced people or evolvers, they would be taken away by the towns or large gathering places ahead. It wouldn't be the turn of Oasis Town at the end yet. After a brief self-introduction between the groups, Chen Shanshan pulled Lin Feng and the 2 of them to the side for a private discussion. The Liu family siblings stood under the sun, while Boss Huang beckoned them to sit by the bus, apparently showing interest in the rock-horned horse as well. Do you want to go? Chen Shanshan opened her mouth to speak. Though it seemed like she was asking both of them, she was actually asking Lin Feng. Since Ding Yi was a non-combat logistics and support personnel, her greatest role in going this time was to be a lookout and guard the vehicle. Lin Feng didn't express his opinion directly, instead he asked, what kind of animal is the rock-horned horse, a herbivore? I think I've heard you mention it before. Chen Shanshan pointed to the bow and arrow on the tricycle. The horn bow is made from the pair of horns of the rock-horned horse. Rock-horned horses are herbivorous animals living in the area, with a body size over 4 meters, and adult horses are around level 7, weighing nearly a ton. And the rock-horned horse leader can evolve to the first stage, equivalent to a human tier 1 evolver, making it impossible for us to kill them now. If what Liu Mingfei said is true, a weak level 9 rock-horned horse could boost our overall strength further, giving us the confidence to fight even against the desert wolf pack. Lin Feng knew that the captain was a level 8 enhanced person. If they could hunt a level 9 rock-horned horse, upgrading to level 9, combined with his own abilities. Even with a squad of just 3 people, they could squeeze into the ranks of first-rate deserted village squads. They would no longer need to fear the desert wolf pack trailing behind. This was when Ding Yi started analyzing. The rock-horned horse's body has a layer of rock-like outer armor over 10 centimeters thick with very high defense, and ordinary firearms and bullets, or even arrows, can't penetrate it. Only the captain's gun rod can break through the defense. Chen Shanshan nodded. Even the horn bow optimized by Lin Feng works, and as long as we prepare well, the killing shouldn't be a problem. Just then, a notification suddenly popped up in front of Lin Feng's eyes. The level 3 fine revolver had completed its upgrade. After briefly going over it, he immediately spoke. No problem, let's do it then. Chen Shanshan and Ding Yi were somewhat surprised because Lin Feng's tone was very assertive. Moreover, Captain Chen was also somewhat eager, so the decision was made. At this moment, Boss Huang was talking with the Yu family siblings. Seeing Lin Feng and the others approach, he enthusiastically said, "This cooperation is great, they don't have teammates either. After killing the rock-horned horse, I can buy the extra meat directly. In return, I'll take you to the next Holy Spring Day for free." Not at a large trading market like the Holy Spring Gathering, fresh meat jerky is hard to find buyers. Selling it all at once to the official Hunting Wilderness Guild fetches a very low price. Hence, the permanent residents of Village Convoy use their network connections to help sell at a price slightly higher than the official rate. They earn a certain percentage as commission and also establish stable cooperation with capable deserted village squads. Boss Huang's minibus is long-term leased by 2 squads of less than 10 people, at a favorable rate. If Chen Shanshan discards the burdens in the team and only takes Qi Mountain's mid-stage enhanced people for hunting and gathering, they could barely afford to live in the bus, avoiding the exhaustion of running in the wilderness. Recently, however, a squad went out a few days ago and hasn't returned, so Boss Huang hopes to find another strong deserted village squad soon to fill the gap. That's why he actively mediates the cooperation between Lin Feng and others and the Liu family siblings. Chen Shanshan understood old Huang's intention. Actually, she didn't mind outsiders joining. Now they have the hidden danger of Qi Mountain and are being followed by the wolf pack. Taking only 3 people out is highly risky. If the Liu family siblings are decent people, forming a new deserted village squad with them is completely feasible. Huddling together for warmth has always been the survival strategy of the underclass deserted villagers. It is also the only way for the deserted villagers to combat the harsh wasteland environment and continue surviving. Under Boss Huang's mediation, both sides decided to rest a bit more before setting off directly. Lin Feng returned to the bus compartment and carefully examined the upgraded level 4 pistol. Item name, level 4 magazine pistol. White quality, level 4 magazine pistol. Description, a modernized magazine-fed pistol that fixes the revolver's sealing problems. Improved trajectory stability and accuracy, higher lethality, and customizable appearance. Basic attributes, damage, 15, effective range, 200 meters, 50 pieces of ordinary ammo, 6 wolf fang bullets. Upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit. Extra attributes, recover 1 bullet per second. Space magazine, grants additional magazine capacity. New extra attribute, tongue-piercing fang. When combined with wolf fang bullets, plus 5 penetration damage on hit. Ignores white quality armor below level 10. Bullet heads can be recovered. Evaluation, upgraded handgun that solves the revolver's poor airtightness, improves stability and accuracy, and increases lethality. Appearance can be freely switched. Usage note, combine with 6 wolf fang bullets for great penetration power and increased damage. After reading the introduction, Lin Feng gently stroked the magazine pistol, able to see the silver bullet head of the wolf fang bullets shining coldly in the left wheel drum preserved in its appearance. This was also the reason he readily agreed. 6 wolf fang bullets were Lin Feng's confidence to dare challenge the level 9 rock-horned horse. And the space magazine effectively compensates for the ammo problem, providing firepower rivaling a rifle. Soon, everyone was ready to depart. Before leaving, Chen Shanshan only took 10 pounds of wolf meat, leaving the remaining 30 pounds with old Huang for safekeeping. Then she gathered the other 4 people and rode a tricycle, departing from 5th village. As they reached the outskirts of the camp, countless deserted villagers who had gathered here before started to depart. Ding Yi looked at the distant iron giant beast and slowly spoke, "Time's up, the prayer ritual is about to begin." Chapter 13, Holy Spring Gospel, hunting the rock-horned horse. After the prayer ceremony, they'll release water, right? Lin Feng sat in the cargo area of the tricycle, eating dried wolf meat, repairing the durability of Chen Shanshan's titanium gun, and upgrading the level 3 fine horn bow, while asking. He found that after the dried wolf meat helped him rise 2 levels, it started to lose its effectiveness. Now it can only recover lost life value, unable to break through the upper limit and continue evolving. So killing the level 9 rock-horned horse was to quickly enhance his strength. At this moment, The familiar Chen Shanshan was pedaling at the tricycle front. She got some engine oil from old Huang, smeared it on the bike's chain and gears, pedaling exceptionally smoothly, much easier than dragging the heavy cart before. Moreover, being a level 8 enhanced person with a power of up to 800 kilograms, she could pedal the tricycle with ease, only needing to overcome the friction of moving forward once it got going. Inside the vehicle, 4 people sat facing each other. Ding Yi scooped a cup of light water for the Liu family siblings, continuing to introduce Lin Feng to Holy Spring Day. That's right. The prayer ceremony is presided over by the Bishop of Oasis Town, and after it's over, the Oasis drainage valve will open, releasing roughly over 200 tons of water, which the divine cultivators then distribute to the queuing deserters. Lin Feng was stunned. So much? 200 tons at once, that's 4,800 tons a year. Ding Yi nodded. So, close to Holy Spring Day, fresh water becomes very cheap and depreciates significantly. The 200 tons are just part of the blessing. The truly unused clean fresh water is specially reserved for quotas for the 5 major villages. In short, the oasis does not lack water. However, 200 tons is still just a drop in the bucket for the overall deserters, averaging 3 to 4 liters per person, barely making it to the next Holy Spring Day, but for only 50-60,000 people. Saying this, Ding Yi's tone became somber. Some have counted that around the oasis town, there are roughly 100,000 deserters, out of which 30% don't survive the first month. The high mortality rate of deserters has also become the best fertilizer for this land. If it weren't for you, I probably would have died in this uprising at Qi Mountain. Lin Feng sighed lightly. The Liu family siblings beside him were also affected. Although they had the strength of late-stage and mid-stage enhanced people, their equipment was rudimentary, and they could barely make a living in their previous team. On the barren wilderness, where resources cannot accumulate, the gap between the enhanced people is actually not very large. Lin Feng, with a magazine pistol, could easily kill a level 7 enhanced person like Liu Mingfei. Boss Huang, the innkeeper, had been struggling in the Wasteland for many years, now having accumulated a bus hotel. But deserters like the Liu family siblings, like Ding Yi before them, are also struggling to eat with no certainty of their next meal, fighting for survival. The sister Liu Qian was still okay, looking somewhat presentable, though her face was dirty, while the elder brother Liu Mingfei was already emaciated, with strength estimated to be only 60 to 70%. This is one reason why Chen Shanshan was willing to cooperate. At least the other party valued family, showing humanity and righteousness. From the leader's perspective, this matters more than strength. The tricycle came to a somewhat spacious road. Liu Mingfei stood up to look around and spoke. When we spotted the rock-horned horse, it was 4 kilometers behind Oasis Town. Now that 3 hours have passed, it must have run ahead of the main force. Ding Yi nodded. Then we're passing by the oasis, and let Lin Feng see that magnificent scene. Chen Shanshan responded with a sound, turned the handlebars, and headed westward towards the mobile oasis. As they approached, Lin Feng, who had evolved into a level 4 enhanced person, could see the scenery 500 meters away distinctly. This steel giant beast resembled a giant battleship, 200 meters long, 30 meters wide, and over 20 meters high. Just in height alone, it was equivalent to a 6 to 7-story building. It could be called a mobile steel city, comparable to a small aircraft carrier. Accommodating tens of thousands of people to live within is entirely feasible. But the upper class in the oasis numbered only 1,000. The rest were servants. At this moment, the tail of this steel giant beast was neatly arranged with a dense crowd of deserters, forming a queue 200 meters long. One by one, they all prostrated and kowtowed on the ground, waiting for the ceremony to begin. At the very front of the queue, 200 clergy prepared to distribute the Holy Springs nectar bestowed by the Lord. Lin Feng roughly counted, just in the area the size of 4 soccer fields, there were as many American Samoa 50000 deserters gathered. Moments later, the Lord Bishop residing in the oasis appeared on the high platform at the tail of the steel giant, proclaiming the Masters served by the Holy Spring sect and the Masters spokesperson on earth, the undying saint who governs all water sources. It is he who exercises the Masters' authority, purifying worldly filth, allowing humanity to possess clean and clear sweet fresh water. Because of the distance, Lin Feng only heard the bishop and the clergy murmuring a lot of doctrines below. At the end, the bishop slowly raised a solid gold manhole cover and loudly announced, "Ahead lies the homeland. In 1 month, we shall return to the Holy Land and receive the Master's blessing. Praise the Holy Spring." Tens of thousands of deserters at their feet shouted in unison, "Praise the Holy Spring! Praise the Holy Spring! Praise the Holy Spring!" The momentum was so great that it spread for several kilometers. Lin Feng frowned slightly, somewhat puzzled. He could understand hundreds or thousands becoming devout believers, but for so many people to be so fanatical, Was there something wrong with the previously recited doctrine? Chen Shan, who had stopped ahead, explained this confusion to everyone. The Holy Land is the birthplace of the Holy Spring sect, formerly Yu province of the Old Country. When we reach the ruins of the Zuma Divine Hall, on Holy Spring Day, the fresh water distributed is twice as much as usual. At that time, all deserters can drink enough Holy Spring. These are passed down among the believers, and it gives the deserters a hope to persevere. Lin Feng nodded. More than 500 tons of water, no wonder they were all so excited. The praises gradually died down. When the thirsty deserters shouted until their voices were hoarse. Overlooking the masses, the bishop nodded satisfied, embedding the golden manhole cover in his hand into the water valve at the stern of the Oasis giant ship, twisting the switchgear. Clear fresh water poured from 10 1-meter-thick pipes into the finer pipes below, finally being evenly distributed into water tanks behind 200 church members. In less than 20 seconds, the 1 cubic meter white water tanks behind each of the cultivators were filled with fresh water, and the bishop then slowly closed the water valve. And the blessing ceremony had just begun. Lin Feng squinted his eyes, looking at the water valve. The bishop in white easily tightened it with just his hands, and this alone had a force exceeding dozens of tons. How strong must this revolver be? And among the few senior priests standing to the sides of the bishop, Lin Feng saw a familiar man. It was Father Su, who purchased the mutated wolf fang today. It was only after Lin Feng explained to Chen Shan that he learned about the black-robed man's background. Fortunately, Father Su, as the village chief of Holy Spring Village, was the most amiable and approachable among all the senior priests. Otherwise, even if Lin Feng had 10 times the courage, he wouldn't dare to bargain with such a big shot. Let's go. Next is the water distribution segment, which will last about 3 to 4 hours. After that, Oasis Town will restart and continue to move forward, said Chen Shan, stepping on the pedal to set off. Following the guidance of the Liu family siblings, they took a detour on the small path on the most southern left side. The rock-horned horse was in this direction. Chen Shan's riding speed was fast, plus the tricycle only needed pedaling, so they soon covered 2 kilometers. Afterwards, Ding Yi took the initiative to get up and rotate for cycling. Having consumed a large amount of wolf meat, she had evolved into a level 3 enhanced human, and with being well fed and rested, she had a strength of 300 to 400 kilograms. Riding a tricycle was not a problem at all. Chen Shan sat on the vehicle, eating meat and drinking water to recover, while watching all around like Lin Feng and the others, searching for the lone rock-horned horse. And shortly after, the sharp-eyed Chen Shan found traces of dried blood in a pile of yellow rubble. The traces were clear, not yet decomposed by bacteria or covered by dust, indicating that they appeared in the past 1 or 2 hours. Follow the bloodstains on the ground. Chen Shan patted Ding Yi's shoulder, directing the way. Everyone got excited, and Lin Feng handed the upgraded level 4 horn bow to the captain. Item name, Giant Power Horn Bow, White Quality, Giant Level 4 Horn Bow. Description, a colossal horn bow crafted for titanic archers. Its limbs are hewn from prime beast horn and reinforced with layered sinew and alloy ribs to withstand extreme draw forces. Built to launch wolf fang arrows and heavy ordnance across vast distances. Basic attributes, damage, 20, durability, 10 out of 10, effective range, 300 meters, remaining wolf fang arrows, 5, remaining ordinary arrows, 10, upgrade method, upgraded to host level limit, extra attributes, tongue-piercing fang, wolf fang arrowheads have exceptional penetration, dealing an additional 5 damage on hit. Usage notes, requires more than 500 kilograms of strength to use proficiently. Not recommended for beginners. Evaluation, a heavy-duty long-range weapon intended for giant strength users. Exceptional penetration and draw damage make it ideal against heavily armored targets and fortifications. This time Chen Shan supplemented 10 ordinary arrows at the market, and after upgrading and pairing with the wolf fang arrows, it could unleash a high damage of 25 points. 1 arrow could take down a mid-stage enhanced human. It's perfect for long-range ambushes on the rock-horned horse. While tracking all the way, Chen Shan narrowed her eyes and suddenly ordered to stop the vehicle in a low voice. Following the direction she pointed, everyone saw a 4-meter-long, bovine-shaped beast appear in the distance 400 meters away. It had a pair of 1-meter-long sharp curved horns, with a shoulder height of around 2 meters, similar to a small car. Lin Feng couldn't help but swallow his saliva, and even Ding Yi in front of the vehicle showed a hint of fear. He previously thought the rock-horned horse was just a herbivore, at most a bit larger, but he didn't expect it to be this big. Those sharp horns, if accidentally hit, could pierce through the group instantly. Ding Yi, Liu Qian, you two stay, the other two, follow me. Chen Shan slung the horn bow and quiver on her back, gripped the titanium gun in her hand, and after jumping off the vehicle, spoke in a deep voice, follow my command, Let's go. Chapter 14, Death of the Level 9 Rock-Horned Horse. Qi Mountain's underling Chen Shanshan's movement speed was fast. Once she entered the battle, she turned into a completely different person. Lin Feng and Liu Mingfei closely followed her, making a big circle to reach the target's left side further south. At a distance of 200 meters from the rock-horned horse, they stopped and hid behind a pile of rocks. Chen Shanshan spoke in a low voice, "We're in luck, the terrain is in our favor for the attack." Saying this, she picked up a piece of debris and sketched out a rough battle plan on the rock surface. "We are currently downwind, so we don't have to worry about our scent dispersing, which allows us to take a longer route to encircle. The rock-horned horse's stamina and endurance far exceed that of a desert wolf. If it weren't for giving birth and having to leave its herd, plus the postpartum weakness, we wouldn't stand a chance to hunt a level 9 rock-horned horse with just a few of us. Even so, its stamina remains strong, especially when under the threat of death. It can unleash power comparable to an evolver. We can't compare with it on endurance, so we can only use a relay strategy to exhaust it to the point of complete fatigue, leaving it unable to run. The rock-horned horse's top speed can reach 40 km per hour, but it can only run 2 to 3 km at most before collapsing due to full-body hyperemia and overheating. I'll make the first strike, chasing from behind. The first kilometer is up to me. In the second stage, Liu Mingfei, it's your turn, keep chasing it and don't let it stop. Chase it for about 700 to 800 meters. For the final stretch, Lin Feng, it's your turn. If you can't catch up, just shoot. Its rock armor is probably impenetrable, so aim for its lower body and limbs. Together with the anesthetic toxin on the horn bow arrows, it shouldn't be too much of a problem." Lin Feng nodded. The captain's plan actually took considerable care of him, given that he had the lowest constitution attribute value among them. Chen Shanshan would take the lead, running the entire route. Liu Mingfei in the second segment only had to run half of it. His own finish might not even require 500 meters. Seeing no objections from the two, Chen Shanshan immediately pulled out a bone tube from under her cloak, staining the wolf fang arrowhead with plant toxin. She also reminded them, now the rock-horned horse has just stopped to rest, and in about half an hour, it will start again. Lin Feng, can you cover 2 kilometers in half an hour? Lin Feng calculated, it was roughly 1 meter per second. Before, it would have been easily comparable to a brisk walk during a stroll, but now they were under the scorching sun, with ground temperatures close to 50 degrees and detours around steep, jagged slopes. Every step consumed energy, quickening the pace was an overexertion of energy. Fortunately, with wolf hide and soles, he didn't worry about hurting his feet. Lin Feng looked at the water bottle hanging at his waist, filled with a liter of water, and figured rationing it should suffice. He earnestly nodded to indicate it was fine. Liu Mingfei, seeing the blue-green concentrated toxin in Chen Shanshan's hand, couldn't help but swallow, patted the rusty long knife at his side, and nodded in agreement. "All right then, remember your timing. After this successful hunt, we'll need to get a watch. Liu Mingfei, you should be under that hill." Chen Shanshan gave a few final instructions before urging them to set off quickly. After the two went far, she returned to the tricycle. She took a small alarm clock purchase this time, calculating the timing to start the attack. Then she addressed the two nervous women on the vehicle, "When we launch the attack, remember to ride the bike and follow closely. The gobi is difficult to ride, so take turns riding if you can't continue. Just don't fall too far behind. Otherwise, it's hard to protect yourselves in danger." Ding Yi and Liu Qian nodded in unison. Meanwhile, as the group left the main team, the two followers under Qi Mountain, at the end of the line during the Holy Spring ceremony, clearly saw Chen Shanshan's group heading out on the tricycle, standing out on the open flat road. Thus, one of them asked the cohort to return to the 5th village to report to Qi Mountain, bringing other team members along, while he followed the target himself to prevent losing them. Now, he was 200 meters behind Chen Shanshan's group, eyeing the fine equipment in their hands and the abundant supplies on the tricycle with a gaze of greed and longing. Especially seeing Ding Yi, formerly an outcast, not betrayed by Chen Shanshan as Qi Mountain had said. Now she was drinking clean fresh water from the barrel, eating delicious wolf jerky. While he was starving, doing errands for the captain every day. The promising life Qi Mountain had promised was unfulfilled. The resources obtained after selling those burdensome early-stage enhanced friends couldn't begin to please the evolver. Everyone had to squeeze into a motel standing compartment, enduring the smell of sweat, foot odor, and body odor. Watching Ding Yi live comfortably, this follower wanted to return to the team. Old Captain Chen Shanshan was always a kind person. If he performed a tearful, contrite show, promising to turn over a new leaf, she would surely forgive. Then by betraying other friends and companions, turning against Qi Mountain, he could win Chen Shanshan's trust. In this way, he could replace Ding Yi's position, and even become the new deputy captain. With these thoughts, The solitary follower believed he'd made a wise choice based on strategic insight. But what he didn't realize was that the biggest variable affecting his fate in the new team wasn't old Captain Chen Shanshan, but the recently recovered Wasteland newcomer. Meanwhile, Lin Feng was heading to his designated position. With Liu Mingfei's guidance, passing the hill Chen Shanshan had pointed to earlier, he continued moving forward. Liu Mingfei rested on the rock's shadow, taking a sip from the water bottle Lin Feng handed him. You just need to go 600 or 700 meters further, approximately there, behind the slope. No hurry, we've only been going for about 10 minutes, there are still 20 minutes left. Keep an eye on your surroundings, we might not be the only hunters targeting it. Lin Feng nodded, thanks. After speaking, he continued on his way. 20 minutes later, Chen Shanshan was already within 150 meters of the target, advancing cautiously to improve the bow and arrows hit rate and frequency. When the rock-horned horse, lying prone on the ground, got up to set off again, Chen Shanshan was already less than 100 meters from it. She took out the wolf-fang arrows, marking the start of the hunting operation. She stood up, drew her bow, and aimed at the target. After firing, Chen Shanshan swiftly pulled out a second arrow and continued shooting. Without a moment of hesitation, all movements flowed seamlessly. The first arrow directly hit the hind leg of the rock-horned horse. The wolf-fang arrow had pierced the outer rock armor, tearing the skin and digging into the flesh. The rock-horned horse, pained, immediately sprang up and instinctively rushed towards the distance. But the second wolf-fang arrow swiftly followed. This time it hit its abdomen, similarly piercing the surface rock armor, letting the paralyzing toxin from the arrowhead's blood groove seep into the flesh. As for the third arrow, although it also hit the target, the distance between the two sides had already exceeded 200 meters, and after hitting, it failed to stay lodged and fell. Seeing the rock-horned horse running away at full speed, Chen Shanshan quickly put away her bow and arrows, tightly gripping the titanium rod, and pursued. Not far behind her, Ding Yi and the other person saw this and followed on a tricycle. A minute and a half later, the rock-horned horse, maintaining a speed of 10 meters per second, was already physically weak, coupled with the continuous bleeding from the 3 arrows, gradually became exhausted. It looked back, having already distanced itself from the pursuing humans, and thus slowly reduced its running speed. However, just at this time, another human, wielding a long sword, jumped out from behind a rock over 100 meters away and charged with intimidating shouts. Already panicked, the rock-horned horse was frightened and immediately increased its speed, continually depleting its stamina. Rested and ready, Liu Mingfei maintained a steady pursuit rhythm to ensure the rock-horned horse couldn't stop. Until 700 meters later, the rock-horned horse, once again distanced from the hunter, was so drained of energy that it was panting heavily and struggling to move. Just as it prepared to pause for a rest, a human silhouette slowly appeared from behind the Gobi slope not far away. Lin Feng raised a silver-black large-caliber revolver in his hand and aimed at the target. Having become a mid-stage enhanced human, his senses, especially sight and hearing, were enhanced by a factor of 2, now able to clearly discern objects the size of footballs from 400 meters away, equating to having the vision of a 4x scope. The rock-horned horse in front was at least 4 meters long, like a small elephant, easy to lock onto its figure. Without hesitation, Lin Feng directly pulled the trigger. The wolf-fang bullet, along with gunshots, hit the rock-horned horse before it could respond. 6 shots within 100 meters. 1 shot directly hit under the throat at the chest, with up to 20 points of damage. Under the penetration of the wolf-fang bullet, splattered a large blood splash. The rock-horned horse let out a painful howl, driven by survival instincts to flee again. But having struggled only a few steps, internal bleeding and excessive blood loss rendered its massive ton-heavy body incapable of continuing. Collapsed 200 meters away, it let out cries of agony. Lin Feng approached with his gun, having hit all 6 wolf-fang bullets into this big creature. Later during dissection, remember to extract the bullets, Ding Yi and the others. Soon, Liu Mingfei from behind also came up, but the two didn't approach and quietly waited for the rock-horned horse to completely perish. With such a big creature, even an ultimate struggle of a dying light could take both away directly. Waiting a bit longer posed less risk. More than 10 minutes later, Chen Shanshan directly rode on the tricycle, bringing 2 women to the scene. At this point, the rock-horned horse was already on the verge of death, its previous cries of agony turned into feeble whines, about to breathe its last. Chen Shanshan held the titanium gun firmly, switched it into Mitsubishi spiral spear mode, approached from behind quickly stabbing into the target's throat, completing the kill. She took out an empty water bottle to collect the blood, then looked at everyone. This big guy, weighing more than a ton, definitely can't be transported. We must first peel off the outer rock armor and only take the meat. Everyone nodded and started to work. Just as Chen Shanshan was about to strip the rock armor, Her brow suddenly furrowed, she drew her bow aiming at the incoming path. Only for a silhouette to appear about 100 meters behind the tricycle. Everyone immediately picked up their weapons, ready for anything. After all, having just sprinted 4 or 5 kilometers, they were somewhat spent. Now encountering a potential threat from behind, it posed a risky situation. However, that person raised both hands, walking steadily closer. Approaching soon, Ding Yi and Lin Feng's expression slightly changed. The person trailing behind was actually a former team member, once one of Qi Mountain's followers. I have no weapon. I pose no threat. Captain, I'm here to defect, to report. The subordinate approached and sensibly knelt down, holding his head clapped between hands, with teary grievances. Captain Chen, we were all deceived by that beast Qi Mountain. He sold off the team members to a slave master, even threatened us to serve him tirelessly. Back then my mind was clouded, now I've escaped back, bringing valuable news. Chen Shanshan put down the horn bow, slightly furrowing her brow. What is it? The subordinate sensed opportunity, slowly stood up with a flattering expression, continuing, Qi Mountain, that son of a dog, intends to further harm us, planning to use Captain's weapon to gain favor from the evolver. He's already brought men over, wanting to catch us off guard. We must prepare defensively. Chen Shanshan took a deep breath, just about to speak. A man's voice came through. Anything else? The subordinate paused, looked at the unfamiliar man who emerged alongside Chen Shanshan, having no impression of this once nearly deceased person. Now being questioned by Lin Feng's interrogating tone, immediately feeling somewhat angry, directly ignoring Lin Feng's inquiries, continuing to look towards the captain. Is that all? Seeing the contempt in the subordinate's gaze towards the unknown man, Lin Feng merely smiled, raising the revolver from behind. Bang! A bullet hit right at the center of the forehead. The bullet shattered half the rear skull, brain matter splattered everywhere. Meanwhile, as the gunshot echoed, deep wolf howls reverberated from the nearby Valley Gobi. Chapter 15, Photovoltaic Rock Armor, Wolfpack Leader, Cronies. The Wolfpack is coming, keep cutting. Lin Feng put away his revolver and spoke calmly. Chen Shanshan sighed softly. Looking at the fallen former teammate on the ground, he had joined them before Qi Mountain, struggling for over a year in the Wasteland, only to eventually die here. She wanted to say something, but swallowed it back. On the other hand, Ding Yi was somewhat surprised, looking at Lin Feng with eyes full of joy and approval. She had long been displeased with Qi Mountain and his subordinates' despicable and insidious nature. These people were the parasites of the team. They never considered the team, selfishly trying to encroach on others' benefits, forming cliques, and excluding other teammates. If not for Chen Shanshan's always soft heart, unable to be ruthless, they would not have fallen into the current situation. Now that Lin Feng had stepped forward decisively, Ding Yi felt relieved and thought his decisiveness made him more suitable to be the team's leader. The Liu family siblings, who were only in a cooperative relationship on the side, were left a bit unclear but felt an awesome sense. Chen Shanshan was clearly the team leader and the strongest. Yet in this 3-person team, it seemed Lin Feng, the newcomer with a mixed reputation, was the one in charge. What really caught Liu Mingfei's attention was that this man, with only mid-stage enhanced strength, seemed not to lack pistol bullets. On their way here, he heard 6 gunshots, and now another sharp shot. No deserter team in the Wasteland would be so lavish, wasting precious bullets on matters easily resolved with a knife. Even a single pistol bullet was worth more than a liter of water. The background of the man before him was extraordinary. Chen Shanshan looked at the dead body for a few seconds, then returned to normal under Lin Feng's reminder and the wolf howls, continuing to wield the small knife in her hand to cut open the rock armor on their prey's body. The rock armor of the rock-horned horse was very thick, with the thickest part reaching 10 centimeters deep, requiring over 500 kilograms of force, combined with sharp cutting angles, to pry it off smoothly. The level 2 quality dagger in Chen Shanshan's hand quickly became dull and lost its sharpness. Lin Feng took the small knife she handed over and initiated the upgrade. Item name, fine dagger, white quality, fine level 3 dagger, description, a finely crafted dagger with serrated wolf-fang blood grooves. Lightweight and razor sharp, designed for swift slashes and precise stabs. Basic attributes, damage, 10, durability, 10 out of 10, upgrade method, can expend 1 point of life value to upgrade. Extra attributes, bleeding, inflicts an additional 2 points of life value drop damage per hit. Evaluation, the serrated wolf-fang grooves prevent rapid wound closure, making this dagger highly effective for causing continuous bleeding in combat. The upgrade process for small items was swift, also related to Lin Feng's state and strength level. As multiple heavy rock armors weighing tens of kilograms peeled off from the rock-horned horse, the group made a new discovery. On the back of the rock-horned horse, the inner side of 5 outer armors appeared different from other armors with black modules. The modules bore intricate patterns resembling circuit boards, appearing like a honeycomb, exceptionally precise. Chen Shanshan's face showed surprise, but it quickly transformed into ecstatic joy. She immediately interrupted others from further exploration, appearing unusually excited. "Don't touch, this thing is extremely delicate." Lin Feng squinted his eyes slightly, based on vague memory fragments, roughly guessing what this might be. Photovoltaic panel? Chen Shanshan looked at Lin Feng with some surprise and nodded without much concern, continuing excitedly, "These few pieces are quite high in quality. 5 photovoltaic panels can be worth a quarter of a car, more valuable than this rock-horned horse carcass." As she spoke, Chen Shanshan looked at the puzzled faces of the group, explaining the peculiar sight before them. After evolving into a Tier 1 rock-horned horse, the barren wasteland can no longer support their growth and energy consumption, thus they evolve the ability to directly absorb sunlight. This is a high conversion rate natural photovoltaic panel to meet their daily energy consumption. This way, the roots and branches they chew along the way can be entirely used for growing flesh and blood. Having introduced the rock-horned horse, Chen Shanshan shifted her focus. Nongzhuang village should be mastering the breeding and reproduction of rock-horned horses, while Don village handles the research and assembly of solar panels. But artificially bred rock-horned horses have photovoltaic panels with less conversion efficiency and lifespan compared to those naturally evolving under the harsh conditions of the wasteland. When I used to accompany my master to the hunting wilderness guild, I often saw bounty missions for rock-horned horses, with very high rewards. Especially for the leader male members of the rock-horned horse herds, usually with Tier 1 strength, capturing one alive could even grant you the qualification to become an Oasis upper class. The level 9 female rock-horned horse we killed should soon complete Tier 1 evolution, and due to the burden of pregnancy being too great, it prematurely grew embedded photovoltaic panels. Genuinely lucky to the core. With that said, the approaching wolf howls drew closer. Over a dozen desert wolf packs were sniffing for the scent of blood, searching for them. Moreover, according to the wolf pack's territory, the desert wolf pack trailing from Oasis Town should be the subordinate tribe of those Lin Feng and others killed the last time. Suppressing her joy, Chen Shanshan quickly loaded the 5 half-square-meter black rock armors onto the tricycle, covered them with burlap, and carefully stored them. Afterwards, she led the others, stripping off the remaining rock armors, then opened the belly, removing the 3 intestines used for chewing filled with plant root fragments and discarding them all. Having done all this, the nearly 1-ton rock-horned horse now had less than 600 kilograms of bone and flesh left. Calling on Lin Feng and Liu Mingfei, the 3 of them together moved the still warm, fresh body onto the flatbed attached to the back of the tricycle. The empty flatbed barely accommodated the convulsively twitching horse carcass. Chen Shanshan used hooks and ropes to secure it firmly, then climbed into the driver's seat of the tricycle, urging everyone to get on quickly and set off. On the rear of the tricycle, the expressions of the 4 people varied. Ding Yi looked at the black rock armor by her feet and the large horse carcass behind, still in shock from Chen Shanshan's recent explanation. The Liu family siblings gazed at the discarded 100-kilogram intestines and stomach of the rock-horned horse, feeling somewhat reluctant to part with it. Lin Feng leaned against the side panel, inserting the bullet heads Ding Yi had dug out, one by one, into the revolver drum magazine, forming new wolf fang bullets. He was gradually adapting to this absurd and eerie wasteland world. Desert wolves with steel teeth and iron claws, rock-horned horses sprouting photovoltaic panels, perhaps in the future even more bizarre yet reasonable mutant creatures would appear. In short, life finds a way. Just like behind the group, a bit farther, appeared the silhouettes of the desert wolf pack, starting to feast on the pungent guts on the ground, along with the headshot lackey. Lin Feng slowly turned his head, raising the muzzle. The wolf pack leader, gnawing at human torso and abdomen, devouring the soft, rotten entrails, was a robust young gray-white lead wolf. It devoured a kidney in one bite, then lifted its head to watch the departing tricycle. Vertical pupils, red eyes, fierce and malicious. From its fixed gaze, Lin Feng seemed to see the shadow of that former old desolate wolf. But the young lead wolf, larger and more robust, its strength far surpassed that of the old desolate wolf. Showing no fear at being aimed and locked on by the muzzle. After the tricycle drove further away, Lin Feng put away the revolver. Rather than angering the opponent, he was unwilling to waste wolf fang bullets without assurance of success. At least 15 desert wolves had emerged, not something the fatigued team could resist and overcome. Angering them would instead bring about calamity. At this moment, the other 3 on the vehicle gradually snapped back to reality. Ding Yi, standing beside Lin Feng, adjusted her glasses with an insightful expression. "So just now, you deliberately killed that guy? Sacrificed him to the desert wolf pack so they won't chase us?" Lin Feng's mouth twitched, the wolf howls came after his gunshot. It was the gunshot that guided the wolves to target their prey. But the rock-horned horse's desperate run, shedding abundant blood along with cries of agony, attracting the wolf pack, was a matter of time. Too lazy to explain, Lin Feng feigned profundity as he replied, afraid a single corpse isn't enough for them to share. Then he reached out to touch the 5 stacked black rock armors before him, and at a glance from the corner of his eye, the evaluation results soon appeared. Photovoltaic rock armor, level 10, red quality, utilizing the photovoltaic effect on the semiconductor interface to form a potential difference, generate electricity continuously converting light energy into electrical energy. Can decompose water elements together with carbon dioxide to synthesize mono or polysaccharide starch, providing stable bioenergy, or directly through the circuit, continuously output direct current. After reading the introduction of the photovoltaic rock armor, Lin Feng scratched his head in partial understanding. Level 10, red quality, should be the next phase as treasure matching tier 1. The rock-horned horse estimated to use such a method, absorbing carbon dioxide and using the electricity not only to synthesize necessary nutrients for its survival but also to release excess oxygen. As for another method of utilization, naturally combining with electric motors to continuously provide energy to mechanical bodies, such as various vehicles. Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel expectant. Someday, owning a car completely for himself, no longer needing to waste time and effort on traveling or pay for rentals. Thus, hunting more rock-horned horses appeared on Lin Feng's planning schedule. The group hurried back along the way, during which the 4 in the cabin, after replenishing nutrition and resting, Liu Mingfei voluntarily got up to replace Chen Shanshan. Soon after driving, the group encountered those sent by Qi Mountain to ambush, as previously mentioned by the lackey, the other 3 lackeys, armed with knives, guns, and sticks. Lin Feng didn't waste words, aiming his gun directly, ordering them to kneel. Seeing the situation, the 3 were no fools, realizing their comrades tailing Chen Shanshan's group earlier had already perished under the dark barrel of this gun. They quickly threw away their weapons, begged for mercy, and knelt in despair. Lin Feng frowned slightly. The desert wolf pack would soon pursue after devouring the corpses. They must return to Oasis Town quickly. So there was no time to dawdle with the 3 before him. Where is Qi Mountain? And that woman? She's not in the slave market cages. The 3 lackeys hesitated, only mentioning Oasis Town about to restart, and their rented lodgings in 5th Village would also depart. Qi Mountain had to stay to secure seats. Bang! Lin Feng shot the talkative one dead. Then he pointed the muzzle at the remaining 2. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Qi Mountain didn't come, really didn't come. Tian Wanarong didn't come, she went to the bathhouse instead. But I know something related to you. Just promise not to kill me, and I'll tell you right away. One of them was so scared he wet his pants, acting on a clever impulse. Lin Feng squinted, nodded, quickly, tell me. Chapter 16, No Killing, Pilgrimage Convoy, and a Great Harvest. The little guy who wet his pants gulped and said, back then, when you were carried out of the underground ruins, Qi Mountain intentionally hit your leg against a sharp stone at the entrance. He said you were fair and tender, and would definitely fetch a good price at the slave market, but Captain Chen wouldn't agree, so he had to injure you. The injury on your right leg was all his doing at his behest. As he revealed the truth, Lin Feng's cold expression turned into one of furious ferocity, veins bulging on his forehead, on the brink of explosive rage. All the near-death experiences after waking up, narrowly escaping from death's grasp several times, were all deliberately set up by that Qi Mountain guy. With anger swelling in his chest, Lin Feng suddenly gave a cold, iron blue smile, raising his gun. Good, good. The little guy, with a trembling voice, I already told everything. You promised not to kill me, to let me have a way out. Lin Feng paused for a moment, then nodded. That's right, I promised. Not to kill you. But in the next moment, he turned the gun towards the right legs of the 2 terrified little guys. Bang! Bang! The 2 shots broke their right calves. The cries of pain and the gunshots echoed across the wilderness. Lin Feng's lips curled into a cold smile. I promised not to kill you, but I didn't promise not to avenge the injury you caused to my right leg back then. Tit for tat, right? As they looked at the smiling man before them, the 2 little guys felt chills run down their spines, as if they were being watched by a demon. The curses they wanted to shout were forcibly swallowed back. Forcing a smile more ugly than crying, they nodded fiercely. Fortunately, the demon kept his word and no longer bothered with them. Lin Feng returned to the tricycle, continuing on his way back to the already departed Oasis Town. He left the 2 little guys, dragging a broken leg, limping with difficulty across the wasteland. Not long after, wolf howls rose behind them. Back on the vehicle, Lin Feng looked at the identification data of the rock-horned horse. Creature, rock-horned horse, level 9 out of 9, deceased, attributes, life value, 0, physique, 46 out of 50, spirit, 6 out of 50, attribute limits, Each level 9 attribute maximum, 50, evaluation, a large herbivore spread across the wasteland, evolved with solar absorption abilities, becoming a half-producer in the food chain. Its meat is dry and tough with poor taste, but the high meat yield makes it excellent livestock. Its heart and loin are rich in energy. At this time, from behind the tricycle, wolf howls were heard, followed shortly by painful screams for help. But it only lasted a few seconds before fading away. Ding Yi and Liu family siblings, seeing Lin Feng checking the rock-horned horse carcass with an unchanged expression, felt a chill run down their spines. The methods of the man before them were more like those of the deserters. But right now, what Lin Feng cared about was the giant heart of the rock-horned horse and the pair of 3-meter-long loins on either side of its spine, and how much it could enhance his strength. More than an hour later, they successfully returned to the highway where Oasis Town was traveling. This road is the fixed route of Oasis Town, about 200 meters wide on both sides, circling the globe, very flat and solid. At this moment, Oasis Town, just setting off, appeared not far behind them. The speed of the moving oasis was not fast, after all, it was a massive steel giant weighing tens of thousands of tons. Even with photovoltaic solar panels providing the energy to move forward, without extra power input, its speed was only about 1 kilometer per hour. It traveled about 24 kilometers a day, moving about 30 centimeters per second, nearly as slow as a normal walking pace. But it moved ceaselessly until the next Holy Spring Day, half a month or 15 days later. Deserters, advancing on foot, even if they spent half a day chasing it, could only barely keep up from behind. As the steel giant drew near, those parked on the far left of the highway finally saw the full view of the oasis. On either side of this moving city, photovoltaic solar panels, 100 meters wide, unfolded, resembling the hexagonal cells of photovoltaic rock armor on a rock-horned horse's back. From afar, the 200-meter-long hull looked like it had a pair of wing fins on either side, with an area reaching close to 50,000 square meters. It's 7 or 8 times the cross-section of the moving oasis itself, necessary to propel such a massive steel giant continuously. Under the shadows cast on both sides of the highway, 5 villages followed Oasis Town. The closest ones were Holy Spring Village and Nongxuang Village. One represented faith in water, the other represented food. Their status was the highest and most important. They were closely attached to both sides of the moving oasis. Next were Mechanical Village and Dawn Village, with 5th Village last, where Lin Feng and his party were heading back to. With Oasis Town driving towards them, a row of large modified trucks, known as the Hundreds-Ton Kings, sped out from Oasis Town, each 20 to 30 meters long and with a 100-ton load. A total of 5 vehicles, stretching over 100 meters. In addition, there were about 10 fast-moving small cars accompanying in front and behind. The entire convoy's advancing speed was fast. Lin Feng estimated it was at least the maximum speed of a rock-horned horse, nearly 40 kilometers per hour. Equivalent to 10 meters per second. Such fast speed was definitely not powered directly by photovoltaic panels. This convoy must have undergone secondary modifications, with transformers and storage batteries installed to increase power. Become a truly meaningful electric vehicle. The silent Chen Shanshan watched the modified convoy racing into the distance, seemingly recalling the past with a somewhat forlorn expression. This is the pilgrimage transport convoy heading towards the major city ahead. They take the surplus goods produced and collected in Oasis Town, sell them to big cities or other towns, and exchange them for goods that Oasis Town cannot produce, such as firearms, medicine, fuel, and so on. Most of the crew members are revolvers. My master once took advantage of the crew's convenience to take me to the city. Of course, other revolvers can also buy tickets to go to resource-rich big cities. They depart on Holy Spring Day as a farewell ritual and return by the next Holy Spring Day. This has nothing to do with the lower-class deserters, it's all for the Oasis upper class. After speaking, Chen Shanshan parked the tricycle behind the slope off the main road, then used a piece of burlap to cover the spoils on the cart, and pulled her mask tight. The hum reminded everyone, the main convoy is coming, which will stir up a lot of dust. Be careful not to choke. The other 4 hurriedly put on their hoods to cover their faces. Soon, with the vibration of the ground, the rumbling of the moving oasis, a giant steel beast passed by slowly. Lin Feng lay on the back slope, closely observing the oasis. At its sides near the bottom were giant tires 7 or 8 meters high, a row of more than a dozen. In the middle part, there were dozens of heavy-duty tracks that allowed the oasis to turn or make a U-turn. Ingeniously designed, enabling the steel beast to travel globally. Once the oasis passed, Holy Spring Village and Nongxuang Village followed closely, amidst smoke and dust, with Mechanical Village and Dawn Village trailing behind them. At the very end was everyone's destination, the 5th village in Oasis Town. Braving the raising dust in the sky, Chen Shanshan had everyone sit tight, pedaled, and rode the tricycle onto the main road. The village's traveling speed was consistent with the oasis. So it wasn't fast, just 30 centimeters per second, not even a third of the fully loaded tricycle's speed. With Chen Shanshan's manual acceleration, they soon caught up with the tail end of the fifth village. In motion, the fifth village maintained a triangular formation, with large wind-braking vehicles at the front, while the smaller vehicles followed behind to reduce wind resistance. The intervals between them were all over 10 meters front and back, and 3 to 4 meters left and right. The fifth village with more than 500 vehicles stretched 3 to 400 meters. Weaving through on the tricycle, they soon found a uniquely shaped minibus. Boss Huang, seeing the tricycle approaching in the rear-view mirror, let the passenger in the co-pilot seat take over the steering wheel to keep a steady direction, and then personally went to the back of the bus. Seeing the faintly exposed rock-horned horse carcass under burlap on the tricycle's cart, old Huang was overjoyed. He hurriedly fastened the front wheel of the tricycle to the rear hitch of the minibus. Then put down 2 iron plates to receive everyone. Congratulations, for the next half a month, there are 4 compartments in the bus for free rest and lodging. Upon boarding the bus, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Next was transferring the horse carcass on the cart to the back compartment of the bus for butchering. With joint efforts, the transfer was complete. They also brought the tricycle's equipment and other materials, especially those 5 pieces of photovoltaic rock armor, to the minibus's compartments. Then, under Chen Shanshan's supervision, the 4 began to cut and disassemble the rock-horned horse carcass, except for Lin Feng. Digging out a massive 5-kilogram heart from the abdomen, the size of a basketball. Divided into 5 portions for Boss Huang to help pan-fry. The best meat, secondly, was the loins alongside the spine on the rock-horned horse's back, very tender. 2 strips, 3 meters long, a total of 30 kilograms. Chen Shanshan, Lin Feng, and Liu Mingfei, each involved in the hunt, took 10 kilograms each. The remaining horse meat from other parts of the carcass was dry and tough, plus the offal, divided equally between the 2 teams. Excluding the external rock armor and digestive intestines and stomach, the remaining 600 kilograms of horse carcass yielded 400 kilograms of horse meat, 100 kilograms of offal, and 100 kilograms of bones. Normally, with such a bountiful harvest, there's no need to go hunting again for over 6 months. Sleeping in the motor inn without having to bustle around. However, carrying so much jerky isn't convenient, it can't all be eaten at once. If not salted and properly handled, it would easily spoil over time. So most will be quickly sold off in bulk. After discussion, besides the loin, the remaining 600 kilograms of carcass were all handed over to Old Huang. Old Huang had already found several buyers who would soon come to collect the meat and exchange it for marinated jerky with everyone. The 5 were extremely tacit in not mentioning the photovoltaic rock armor, carefully hiding it in the compartment, with eyes not leaving it. After handling the horse carcass, the group ate the fragrant fried horse heart, discussing how to handle the rock armor. Chen Shanshan, sitting at the rear of the bus, arranged for Ding Yi and Liu Qian to deliver some ordinary horse meat to another resting deserters team in the vehicle. Then said to Lin Feng and Liu Mingfei, the rock armor with attached photovoltaic panels is very valuable. It's too much for an ordinary convoy in the 5th village to handle. Even if they can afford it, with just us 3, we could easily suffer a loss. Especially those evolver teams, relying on their strength to extort, and intentionally lowering the price quite a lot. So the best way to handle this is to take the bounty task sheet from the Hunting Wilderness Guild, but you must first register as a hunter. Fortunately, after finishing the horse meat, I should be able to evolve into a level 9 enhanced person, reaching the minimum qualification for registration. The bounty sheets are basically all issued by Dawn Village, and they are the only ones with a stripping and modification technology. After all, they are the final buyers, so it's better to negotiate directly. Liu Mingfei nodded without objection. Lin Feng naturally nodded in agreement, also wanting to see for himself the most powerful organization in the 5th village. The Hunting Wilderness Guild at the front of the convoy. After discussion, Chen Shanshan finished the last bite of the horse heart, feeling a slight warmth throughout her body, then it settled. Let's rest for a while, and after 5 hours, the 3 of us will go together. Chapter 17, Lin Feng Level 5, Car Goods Shop, Guild. Back in the compartment, Lin Feng also felt a noticeable warm current flowing from his stomach to his limbs and entire body. With the slight breeze from the electric fan, Lin Feng leaned against the iron wall of the lower bunk bed, took out his revolver, and used a cloth dipped in oil to perform maintenance. The wasteland is full of dust and sand, and precision weapons like pistols need regular maintenance to minimize wear and chances of jamming. Soon, as his body digested the horse heart meat, energy was absorbed throughout his body, and Lin Feng smoothly broke through the 25-point attribute upper limit of a level 4 enhanced person, becoming a level 5 enhanced person. Lin Feng, level 5 out of 9, Life value 29, physique, 29, spirit, 28, level 5 attribute upper limit 30, item upgrade limit increased to level 5, can consume 1 life value point to upgrade the level 4 magazine pistol. Without hesitation, he directly initiated the upgrade of the revolver. He then reviewed this hunting expedition. Lin Feng gradually realized that the squad's current greatest need wasn't offensive weapons, but other auxiliary equipment. For instance, a set of combat suits that cover the entire body, a good pair of running shoes, and fast energy supplements. These items and equipment are actually very important when going out hunting, having impacts and effects no less than weapons. But these are top quality goods, not something that can be made by hand, and Lin Feng did not see them at the Holy Spring Day Market. These should be items only evolvers can access. This trip to the Hunting Wilderness Guild was the perfect opportunity to ask. After thinking it over, Lin Feng then lay down to rest. The compartment where the Liu family siblings resided was right across from the 3 of them, and according to Boss Huang, the remaining 4 compartments could be occupied freely. There was no need for 3 people to squeeze into one compartment. It's easy to get hot, and the smell is unpleasant. However, sharing a sparrow room gives very little sense of security. Soon after, the buyers who came to collect horse meat slowly approached the bus in small cars. Chen Shanshan and Liu Mingfei were responsible for the exchange. 400 kilograms of fresh horse meat were exchanged for 150 kilograms of cured dehydrated jerky. 100 kilograms of offal could only be exchanged for 30 kilograms of jerky, and the remaining skeleton was even less valuable, equivalent to 20 kilograms. The only valuable items were those sharp horse horns, each 1 meter on the left and right, which could be made into various elastic tools, including horn bows and combs, signposts, or used as medicinal materials for anti-inflammation, swelling reduction, and pain relief. But the horns of female rock-horned horses are relatively small, so they could be exchanged for 50 kilograms of jerky. Finally, the total was converted to 250 kilograms, divided equally per head at 50 kilograms each. This distribution method was fairly reasonable. In fact, if the 3 participants in the hunt were to split it, the Liu family siblings could only get 85 kilograms of jerky. Therefore, they had no objections to this distribution method. After receiving the heavy jerky, some cars did not leave immediately. The buyers opened the back seat and trunk, displaying a plethora of goods inside, some of which were rarely seen even in the market. After all, among the deserters coming to the grand market, more than half were poor wretches, and the best-selling items weren't whole pieces of jerky, but fresh water and offal, and unknown mixed meats. Like scavenger vulture meat paste, lizard jerky, and insect eggs. Whereas the goods in these cars were more advanced items, including daily necessities like mirrors, towels, toothbrushes, scissors, etc. Specifically catering to villagers with a stable residency. This time, having struck it rich, Lin Feng and the others naturally became target customers for upgrades. The Liu family siblings bought a couple of good cloth shoes, as well as a clean set of clothes. Sister Liu Qian even bought a few sour candy pills. Seeing this, Lin Feng also changed into a new set of clothes for himself. Things weren't the same as before, having 50 kilograms of jerky, plus 20 kilograms of wolf meat left in the team, and the unsold photovoltaic rock armor. At this moment, they were no longer at the bottom level, living a hand-to-mouth existence as refugee deserters. They should start living like proper people. As for the cloth shoes, Lin Feng and Ding Yi didn't buy any. Those things were just thin layers of cloth pads, not as comfortable as wolf-hide soles. Meanwhile, Chen Shanshan also bought 2 extremely expensive mechanical watches, ensuring that future missions wouldn't be missed due to timing issues. A single mechanical watch surprisingly cost 10 kilograms of jerky, and though finally bargained down to 7 kilograms, it was still exorbitantly priced. 7 kilograms of dehydrated jerky, equivalent to 20 kilograms of fresh meat, was enough for a deserter to stretch and eat for 2 months. So, the stronger and more evolved you become, the more you consume, and after resolving food issues, many other headaches emerge. Lin Feng also saw inside the car's store, further in, canned fresh meat only seen in the civilized world, as well as semi-dehydrated dried fruits. All priced highly. These were considered luxury goods in the eyes of mid to lower class villagers. After all, dehydrated jerky doesn't taste good. Fresh meats are hard to come by. Even Boss Huang, with a bus hotel, was excited to bring out rare cumin seasoning to celebrate with everyone when eating fresh desert wolf meat. Lin Feng merely looked on, understanding that his current primary task was to keep getting stronger, while accumulating enough resources, just like Boss Huang, to exchange for a camper of his own, solving safety and shelter issues. In fact, even the most basic car requires an ordinary late-stage enhanced person to work hard for several years to accumulate enough. And Boss Huang's small bus, though under 10 meters long after modification, Requires a top deserter squad to strive for it for a decade. So Old Huang is considered upper middle class in the 5th village. 40-something. This bus hotel is what he has worked hard for most of his life, and finally exchanged for his retirement money. And successful deserters like him actually don't even account for 1%. Among the 100,000 deserters, only those less than 1,000 permanent residents with cars in 5th village can stand out. So Lin Feng mustn't be extravagant. All resources must be used wisely. Beside him, Ding Yi didn't give it much thought, simply haunted by hunger, scared of poverty, only bought a set of clothes, didn't touch anything else, and happily went back hugging beef jerky. Chen Shanshan, on the other hand, was more optimistic. Besides a mechanical watch, she exchanged for some daily necessities, towels, and soap. This fellow had a master who was a Nevolver back then, so her living standards shouldn't be too bad. At least it was top level in 5th village. Now she has some prospects, wanting to live comfortably again is reasonable. After completing the transactions, they returned to the cabin, where Chen Shanshan lay on the upper bunk, suddenly speaking, "After we're done with business at the Hunting Wilderness Guild, let's all go take a bath. It's been months since our last wash." Ding Yi was somewhat hesitant, unsure of what to do. Lin Feng, however, was somewhat tempted. After all, he hadn't taken a wash during these days in the Wasteland. His scalp was so greasy it had become crusted, and even under his armpits appeared white salt crystals from dried sweat. Already marinated with flavor. It somewhat affected his hunting condition. "No problem, I'll go to Old Huang later and get some cheap internal tickets. I reckon a pound of wolf meat can be exchanged for 3 tickets, and I specifically bought a bar of soap for us to use together." Seeing the two didn't give opinions, Chen Shanshan added that, as the team leader, she hoped the team members could act together and try not to make exceptions. Lin Feng puckered his lips. Even though he rinses when drinking water, there's still some bad breath, can't do without brushing teeth. "Alright, let's go together then." Ding Yi, seeing Lin Feng agrees, nodded along. Her gaze unwittingly filled with anticipation. She actually wanted to go too. Having spent over a month in the Wasteland, as a woman, she found it harder to endure the sour stench of her body than men, even if she used a damp cloth to wipe private areas, but it could only provide temporary relief. However, her role in the team was limited. She didn't dare to actively express her opinion on such matters, to avoid deepening the rift within the squad. Seeing the two both agreed, the opinions were unified. Chen Shanshan revealed a knowing smile, stretched lazily against the iron sheets of the car roof, and then fell into a deep slumber. 4 hours later, there was a knock on the sliding door of the cabin. They gradually woke up, and Chen Shanshan glanced at the time. It was time for the agreed departure. Getting out of bed and opening the door, Liu Mingfei had already woken up early, a bit excited, obviously still immersed in the bountiful harvest and joy of soon heading to the Hunting Wilderness Guild. Though exhausted, he couldn't sleep at all. In fact, Ding Yi was like him, the huge harvest left her no mind for rest. Even when she slept, she would suddenly wake up laughing, or feel it's unreal, fearfully waking to repeatedly check that the beef jerky and supplies were there, then reassuringly close her eyes. Chen Shanshan yawned, shook her neck, then gathered her energy in her danshan, feeling the power within her body, confirming it was stronger than before. She decided to set off. Eating the heart of a level 9 rock-horned horse allowed the 5 people to complete an enhancement. The overall team strength took another step forward. Lin Feng wiped his face with a damp towel, lifting nearly 100 kilograms heavy of 5 photovoltaic rock armors from the foot of the bed. After wrapping them in burlap, following the two to the tail of the bus, sitting in the cargo bed of the tricycle. Chen Shanshan unlocked the chain under the handlebars, rode the tricycle towards the front of the convoy. When unloaded, the tricycle speed can easily break through 20 km per hour, as long as pedaling hard. It's no different from riding a bicycle. But this causes serious wear, requiring frequent maintenance, otherwise, the accident rate is extremely high. Therefore, Chen Shanshan maintained a speed below 10 km per hour. 2 meters per second is enough, 6 times faster than the main convoy's snail pace. Soon passing through one car after another, arriving at the very front of 5th village. Location of 3 large trucks. And on top of one of them, hung the big sign with the words Hunting Wilderness Guild. Also the destination of this trip for everyone. The Hunting Wilderness Guild is a heavy truck about 30 meters long, modified so the width changes from the original 4 meters to 6 meters, height divided into upper and lower levels, over 5 meters high. Photovoltaic panels on the roof extend 2 meters to both sides, more than 300 square meters. Supporting this structure, continuing its march. At the lower sides of the heavy truck, there are hooks and parking spaces for small vehicles to park. After Chen Shanshan fixed the tricycle, she led the 2 people on board, lifted the entrance curtain and entered. What surprised Lin Feng was that the temperature inside the Hunting Wilderness Guild was actually several degrees lower than that of the bus hotel. Before observing the interior layout, a breeze cooler than 30 degrees blew directly in their faces. Inside the guild, air conditioning was actually on. Chapter 18, Hunter, Village Level Store, and Bounty Tasks. Cold air conditioning. Lin Feng felt the long-missed comfort. From the scorching nearly 50 degrees Celsius on the surface outside, entering the 26 or 27 degrees of the Hunting Wilderness Guild, the huge temperature difference made the heat on everyone's skin condense instantly, their hair standing on end. Lin Feng couldn't help but shiver. He was wearing only a thin linen long pants and short sleeves, accustomed to the 30 or 40 degree heat. It was his first time entering such a comfortable environment. Liu Mingfei was the same. If it weren't for inviting Lin Feng's team to hunt the rock-horned horse together, it's estimated that he would never have the chance in this lifetime to set foot in the Hunting Wilderness Guild and feel the cold air of the air conditioning. However, Chen Shan, walking at the forefront, walked through the corridor with ease, preparing to enter the hall. Sitting at the desk at the entrance of the corridor was an elderly man with half-white hair in a security uniform, who took the initiative to greet Chen Shan. "Shan, it's been years since we last met." Chen Shan replied with a smile, "Hello, Uncle Wu. I am here to handle some matters." The old man called Uncle Wu smiled and looked at Lin Feng and Liu Mingfei, nodding, "Go on in." Lin Feng squinted slightly, sensing a very sharp aura from this old man, much stronger than Chen Shan, who had already been enhanced to level 9. To serve as security at the Hunting Wilderness Guild, one must at least be an evolver, to have the strong insight needed to examine the passing deserters. Being older, being able to find a retirement job here is not bad at all. Following Chen Shan into the hall, what appeared before them was a tastefully decorated hall with the rare presence of electric lights. Much like a former bank, there were several rows of waiting benches, with 5 service windows and 5 counter staff sitting behind glass partitions. All of them were young, pretty girls. Not very old, with strength around the mid-stage enhancement. With the Holy Spring Day just over, there weren't many hunters handling affairs on the guild's corridor, and Chen Shan directly stepped forward to state her desire to register as a hunter. The other party took out a form to fill out information. Lin Feng and Liu Mingfei, holding photovoltaic rock armor, wandered around to explore. The Hunting Wilderness Guild was built on a heavy truck 30 meters long, 6 meters wide, and could house a maximum area of 180 square meters, the current hall not exceeding 80 square meters. So on both sides, there were several shop storefronts. Lin Feng saw the shop Chen Shan mentioned, which specializes in purchasing meat, though the price was very low, only 80% to 90% of the outside market. Other shops came from the 4 major villages of Oasis Town. This kind of commercial hotspot probably only they have the energy and qualification to rent and open stores. Holy Spring Village was selling water-related items, including some church scriptures and badges with a tint of faith in them. Lin Feng paused outside the shop, stretching his neck to take a curious look inside. Mainly because these things were extremely expensive, a coin-sized well-covered badge costing 10 pounds of jerky. Who would waste money on such a psychological comfort? "Hello, do you need anything?" Just then, a shop assistant, a middle-aged priest, came forward enthusiastically. "These have all been blessed by the bishop. As long as you praise the Master of the Holy Spring in your heart, you can gain mental peace and tranquility." Lin Feng hastily shook his head. No need, I'm just looking." After speaking, he quickly walked to the next shop. The things sold in Nongzhuang village were many, with very fresh fruits, and also living sandthorn seedlings with pot soil. And some horse meat products. Also various ointments for bruises and strains, anti-inflammatory medicines. The prices were all quite high. For Lin Feng and his group, who had just come into wealth, consuming here brought some pressure. At the back, Mechanical Village had some auto repair parts, along with modification and assembly services, equivalent to a repair garage plus a second-hand car market. The items sold by Dawn Village were some vehicle-mounted solar panels and small household appliances, including fans, electric stoves, and even cooling air conditioners. As the main target of this transaction, Lin Feng stood and observed, finding not only appliances inside but also some high-end equipment for sale. For instance, a combat suit hanging in the glass window. Equipped with ventilation and breathability functions, with 2 small electric fans installed on each side of the waist, and photovoltaic panels sewn on the back for electricity supply. Opening them can effectively lower body temperature when outside, drying and expelling sweat. The outer layer had a gray-yellow camouflage pattern, which also provided excellent concealment and obscurity effects in the wasteland. Lin Feng was tempted. After all, when dashing across the wilderness, the decline in physique status was mostly due to the rapid rise in body temperature, leading to heat stroke reactions. Especially when the metabolism accelerates, With full body blood-filled, being under the 50 degrees surface roasted by the blazing sun felt like being stewed in a pot of boiling water, excruciatingly unbearable. Just as Lin Feng gathered the courage to inquire about the price, Chen Shanshan's call came from the side. She had already completed the information form, passed the strength evaluation, and successfully obtained the junior hunter identity license. Lin Feng then carried the photovoltaic rock armor and walked towards them. Chen Shanshan pointed to the stairs beside the hall. The bounty task hall is on the second floor, let's go take a look. Taking the two of them to the second floor of the Hunting Wilderness Guild, inside, the staff were pinning bounty orders on 5 wooden boards with thumbtacks. According to the source of the bounty tasks, dividing them by the 5 villages of Oasis Town, such categorization was clear and straightforward. Chen Shanshan walked straight to the wooden board labeled Dawn Village and quickly found several tasks seeking wild rock horned horses to grow photovoltaic rock armor. The bounty for photovoltaic rock armor varies in reward depending on its grade. Lin Feng noticed that at the bottom of each task sheet, it said how many points it was worth and inquired about this. While squinting as she searched for the bounty order that best matched her materials, Chen Shanshan explained, points, they are additional rewards given for completing tasks, like a bonus the guild gives to hunters. Otherwise, why would anyone come here for bounties? They could just go directly to the employer and save the guild from charging fees from both ends. Accumulated task points can be exchanged for many things, including basic food and fresh water, as well as weapons and equipment you can't buy outside, or even the valuable qualification to board the mobile oasis and become a member of the upper class. Of course, only the top evolvers have the strength to accumulate that much. Saying this, Chen Shanshan pointed to the wooden board hanging on the far wall that recorded the hunter rankings. Lin Feng walked over and found the top few scores only had around 70 to 80 points. However, ordinary bounty orders only awarded 1 to 2 points per order, with most not exceeding 5 points. From the points, the task's risk and difficulty could be inferred. Accumulating 80 points would require at least completing 30 to 40 tasks. So it's extremely difficult. And the qualification to exchange for the Oasis upper class demands 500 points, making it hard to achieve within a year of accepting tasks every day, not to mention there aren't that many tasks available. In the entire hall, Lin Feng briefly scanned through the bounty slips, finding only 60 or 70, with some published dates even before the last Holy Spring Day. Yet, on the other side of the leaderboard, an annual top 3 bonus was posted, featuring special weapons and equipment from large city production. The first place prize this year was a titanium steel exoskeleton light armor from prehistoric ruins.